popping? Brand new whip just happened. How y'all feeling tonight? Wire to Wire Sports Podcast, show 110. What's popping? Coach Dante in the chat box already. How y'all feeling tonight? Listen, to my upper right, because I'm getting moved around already, I got Uncle Shally.
What's up, boys?
World Cup Shally this week.
World Cup Shally. Penalty shot Shally.
Are you hyped for the World Cup?
I am, bro. I love the World Cup. I look forward to the World Cup every 4 years. I know my man Cottrell's ready too, so I'm ready. Anytime we get to get some soccer talk on this chat, I'm ready to go.
We got ping pong on grass. And to my upper left, I got Penn State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cottrell.
Gene, I need you to. We got you into college football, and now you're all into it. World Cup time. 2 years from now, you'll be ready to rock and roll Olympics. So we're gonna get you
we haven't steered him wrong. He's a huge college football fan now. He gets into golf when he has to. He's picked a couple golf winners. He's just got to follow the lead. I don't know.
47. When you get a 47-1 dog to win in a golf tournament that wins you $1,900 off $20. You kind of get into a golf a little bit. I was going nuts down the stretch, and you're like,
World Cup now. You pick a team that's like plus 4,000. Hey,
United States, baby, 100-1. No, I'm not telling you where I'm going yet, but I have a victor. I have a victor,
fair enough,
and I have a runner-up.
I like it.
I think this World Cup is going to be very, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. But we got to talk about the UFC first. We just had a pay-per-view, and the style bender had his style bent as he was sent packing, and new world champion, 185 middleweight. I had to mess up the division real quick, just get it messed up. New 185 champion. Can I ask y'all a question real quick? Because I kind of want to give my 2 cents, and then because you'll probably disagree with me, and it's okay. At first reaction, and now Izzy's doing a friggin' press run about how it was stopped too early and he was still alive. And I think it was stopped too early? Maybe it was, maybe. But bro, you just like the Eagles on Monday Night Football. You cannot allow it to be in the judge's decision like that. You cannot allow the referee to think that you're so out of it that he has to stop the fight. I think it's 50-50. I've seen worse fights stopped. I've seen fights stopped for less. I've seen more egregious stops.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Listen, at the end of the day, I take my hat off. And new. Anybody disagree? Was it too quick of a stop?
No, see, I told you guys like right away my thoughts on it. When I first saw it, I thought it was an awful stoppage. And then I saw the replay and I saw, how many strikes landed and how he was defending himself. I still thought it was a bad stoppage, but I understood it a lot more. It wasn't a terrible stoppage, and I understood where the ref decided to stop that fight. I guess looking back on it, kind of my only issue, and it's one of the things that Izzy said, Izzy was in a fight with Kelvin Gastelum, and Mark Goddard was the same referee in that fight. And there was a lot more damage done in that fight. He gave Gastelum and Izzy a lot more opportunity to recover. With that said, Izzy wasn't, he didn't have his hands up at all. He was still fluently moving. That's why I thought that it wasn't a good stoppage. But to that same token, you got to give the referee something to go off of. A lot of those strikes that Alex was throwing, a lot of those didn't land flush, but when you're just looking down and you're not fluently defending yourself and you're not striking back, you put the ref in a tough spot. So like you said, you got to tip your hat to Alex for that. And I think Izzy has done a lot of that. He said, I don't think the ref should have stopped this fight, but Alex had me in that position and I got to tip my hat to him. So yes, he is going on a lot of media run, but he's also given the due respect. And, he says this whole thing isn't over. And I think we should see it again. I think Izzy held the belt long enough that he should get that, rematch clause, and we be in for another good fight.
I'm glad he has the rematch clause. Bill, let me hear your opinion. Do you think it was stopped too soon? What do you think?
I mean, I think you're on the razor's edge here, to be honest. So, I mean, I think what was different for me is I didn't watch them live. So obviously I was talking to you guys. I knew what was going on. Like, so for me to watch them, the next day on replay, kind of look for different things than you would, if you're all excited and you don't know what's going to happen, you're watching it live. I thought it was close. I think you could obviously make a very strong case for either side. The main thing for me though is the one thing Cottrell said. You hear it all the time when you watch fights, when you're on the ground, you always hear the ref saying you have to improve your position or show me something, do something, or like I'm going to stop it. And you'll see guys put their hands up or try to improve their position. It's tough with Izzy because Izzy likes to sit there with his hands down and try to feint punches and duck punches and miss. He was also getting connected on, maybe not perfectly flush like Cottrell said, but on top of that, that's a situation where I think Izzy does himself a really good service. If he just puts his hands up a little bit or just shows that he's at least defending himself, I think he gets a little bit more rope there. I really do. Goddard, like Cottrell brought up the great point about with the Gastelum fight and Goddard reffing that fight. I think if he puts his hands up and just defends himself a little bit and moves, even throws a punch or anything like that, I think it buys him another 10, 15 seconds. He didn't do that. And I think, honestly, Gene, I think you nailed it right on the head. Is it the worst one I've ever seen? No, it's not even close. Like I've seen way worse. Was it the best ever? No, I think it's somewhere in between. And, I think it's tough when you're watching a guy pressed against the cage, pretty much taking bombs. I think refs get a quick trigger sometimes. And, it's unfortunate. I think, this has been an absolute wild year in the UFC with guys that, we thought really, between Usman, now Izzy, just guys that, we've had heated discussions about on the show about where they stand all time. And, they've all lost this year. It's been a crazy upset. 2022 has been the year of the underdog in the UFC.
I got what's up, y'all in the chat? Key to the City, Key Williams,
hey.
Freddie was popping. Freddie, Coach Dante. Freddie, I'm gonna let you know something right now. You might not want to listen to UFC. You're not a big UFC fan. You might not listen to college football. You're not a big college football fan. But come NFL, and maybe at the end of the show, you should be listening because I am going to unload on you tonight. Freddie Henderson, you want the smoke. You are getting the smoke. The fire, you want to put the fire emojis in the chat. You're going to get fired tonight. Period.
What is that?
You know that now.
What's that about?
Well, when we get there, we're going to get there. And I want your natural reaction. But with
you
that
drank too much coffee.
No. I feel good. So with that being said, is there anything that, if they sign a rematch of this fight, to me, it's watching the same fight again without, and just your question is, does Izzy get knocked out? Because it's 5, Alex is not going to get knocked out, and it's going to go 5 rounds or until Izzy gets knocked out.
I mean, I agree, but I mean, Izzy never had him like on the ropes per se. I think there was times that he had him stunned.
In their first round.
Yeah, end of the first round was definitely that time frame. To Alex's credit, though, I want to give him a lot of credit for his conditioning going into that fight. At times in the 3rd and 4th round, he did look gassed, and that is where Izzy was, won the rounds and got numbers on the scorecards. But he came on the 5th round, guns blazing, and he was ready to go and leave it all out there. So I want to give him credit for that. I mean, I think to your point, though, we probably do get the same fight, a 4-1 Izzy win, and he doesn't get knocked out just because, he sees what can happen that late. I honestly don't think Izzy was expecting Alex to have that much left in the tank in that 5th round, knowing what had happened in the 4 rounds beforehand. So I think he plays that a little bit differently and probably get a different result if it happens again.
Did you guys both have it 3-1 going into the 5th?
Yeah, absolutely. I had it 1-3-4.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I think that, if there was one surprising thing, again, like I already knew what happened. I saw you guys talking about it while it was going on and interacting and everything. Watching it then on the replay, I'm shocked that he went out in the 5th, for lack of a better term, with the game plan that he did. I mean, I really figured somebody in his corner had to be like, listen, the only way you lose this fight is if you get knocked out. And just getting into certain exchanges and putting yourself in certain situations, I was a little surprised, I'll be honest. I know Izzy's definitely not a guy to run around the cage and do all that kind of stuff. And that's not who he is. And that's not who he wants to be. But at some point, man, you have to know you're legit facing a knockout artist. Like that's what Alex Pereira is. You're up 3-1. The fight's over. Just don't get hit. And I was a little surprised by that. I don't know what you guys think about it, but
did though. You watched that whole fight on replay.
Yeah.
Alex was walking him down. And he's so big that there's not many places you can go in the cage. You can't run for 5 minutes in the 5th round.
No, I agree with that.
I mean, I think part of it too is that Izzy said it afterwards too. Alex checked one of his leg kicks and he could not move how he wanted to move anymore. And with Alex applying that pressure, it had him more up against the cage than he wanted to be. I do think to Izzy's fault, you could say, I think he could have done a better job of I think he could have done a little bit better job of getting out of those situations based off of getting him in the clinch. Because when they got in the clinch, he was able to get it reversed, get some space, and, get back in the rhythm. So he was having success with that. In that 5th round, he didn't do that as much. And ultimately, we saw what that led to. So, I think there's ways to get around Alex being that big because we saw it. I mean, granted, he was taking some big shots in that clinch, but nothing that was dangerous that I thought could end that fight, as opposed to him getting walked down, cornered on the cage, and getting the bombs rained on him.
Look, say what you want to say about the fight. It was a great fight. It was a fun fight to watch. And I give all credit in the world to Alex and New. And I don't know, man, I will say this, and we'll talk about like what stems from this in a second. We kind of knew what was going to happen to Weili Zhang, Carla Esparza fight. That was exactly the way we all said it would go.
Yep.
Except that Weili Zhang tapped her. Like that was even crazier to me. Like I'm gonna beat you doing what you do.
Yeah, I don't think I ever would have picked submission there.
I mean,
and
the one thing that's kind of crazy about that, it kind of happens though when you get a fighter on the ground, they're afraid of getting TKO'd or just getting completely knocked out. They tighten up, and that opens up the submission. Like we've seen that in other fights, So I'm not going to say I was completely surprised by it because I mean, Weili, she has the ground game. Granted, I know that's Carla's wheelhouse, but I wasn't completely shocked by it. I think the most surprising thing to me was that he got out of the first round.
I kind of thought it would get out of first round. I said second round. I think that it sucks for Carla because there's nowhere. Like she's a nice fighter and she's a decent fighter for her weight class, but she's not a championship fighter, and she's been the champion twice, and both at the expense of Rose Namajunas, who is that thinner, frailer fighter that she could, wrestle and use her ground game and lay on top of. The stronger fighters in that division, like the bigger fighters, like the Joanna who retired, the Weili Zhangs, those fighters are going to kick her ass every time they fight. Like you need to see Carla Esparza versus the Karate Hottie. Like that's what you need to see. Like that's Michelle Watterson. Like those are the type of things that you need to see. But Carla Esparza, all credit to her, 2-time champion. But we knew it's a predetermined fight.
She is. I mean, you said it correctly. She's a good fighter. She's not elite. To that point, though, you got to tip her cap to her. I mean, there's not many people who could say they're a 2-time champ. So, I mean, she is a victim of matchups. Like you said, if you put her in a cage against somebody, where she can impose her style and she's, I don't want to say she's one-dimensional, but she kind of is. She can win those fights. She can win those fights. Yeah, you put her against, like you said, against Joanna or Weili, somebody who's well-rounded and strong enough to keep themselves off the ground all the time, she's going to struggle. I mean,
how many Carla Esparza strikes do you think I could take with my hands behind my back?
I'm not doing this again.
Like how many? How many Carla Esparza strikes?
Don't do this, Cottrell. Don't do this.
More than you could with Ronda. I'll say that.
I could take 15 before I have to take my, like, if you handcuffed my hands behind my back, I can take about 15.
15?
Yeah.
My thing is, though, if you're just standing there, I feel like she's precise enough and knows like those spots.
She's gonna hit the right spot. Yeah.
Like it probably won't be powerful.
My head.
Oh,
I can still move my head. I don't like
Fair
this.
Enough. I thought you were just like standing there, like letting it
I don't
happen.
know if she could reach my head. What's she, 5'2"?
Oh,
I don't know.
You're being ridiculous again.
I mean, I think the one thing Carla's got going for her is matchups makes fights. If
Yeah.
Weili's fighting like this, I think she's gonna beat Rose. But somehow, if there's like a mind game or whatever, when Rose and Weili fight for the third time and Rose wins, then I think we could be seeing another mind games matchup with Carla and Rose, and Carla could be a 3-time champion.
That would be a terrible idea for Dana White.
They got to get out of this.
But what else are you going to do?
Man.
Well, you put her in a semifinal match type versus a stronger fighter. That's what you do.
They got to get out of this love triangle.
The problem is, I think Weili Zhang has that, or Zhang Weili has that same like mind mistake with Rose because she got caught once and she's not used to that. And like you seen the second time they fought, that wasn't
more. She was a lot more timid. Yeah,
timid is the understatement. I was blown away. This is the Zhang Weili I said was going to beat her. This girl, the one that fought Joanna, the one that fought not the one that I might get knocked out. Rose caught her, and you could tell the apprehension was there.
Rose.
Doug Rose put on the worst championship performance of all time, brother.
Was a snoozer. That's an absolute snoozer. 10 out of 10.
Well, I'll tell you what's not a snoozer. Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier.
Look,
that was a fun fight to watch.
Michael Chandler gives you fireworks every time he steps in the cage, man.
Yeah, listen. Dude,
can't win.
Or he's can't win.
Can't win, but he'll put on the show.
Man, he won versus Tony Ferguson. But Michael Chandler.
Tony Ferguson, though.
Hey, but listen, he won.
I get it. I'm not taking away from him. I'm saying it was a prime Tony Ferguson.
I loved watching that fight, and I'll tell you right now, man, it was so back and forth. I don't like fun question, and we had this debate where we're watching the fight. Who did you give that first round to? Michael Chandler beat the crap out of him for 3 minutes, and then Dustin Poirier caught him, and Chandler survived the round. So, to me, it was I don't know who I give the round to.
That fight was so good. Even watching it on replay and knowing how it ended, that fight, was still giving me excited butterflies. To sit there and actually watch them go back and forth. First round was wild. I mean, if I was watching that live, I'd have been like, "This is Dustin trying to ease into a fight with a killer that's just not going to let him do it." And then, like you said, it turned on one punch, and then. I mean, Michael Chandler didn't know where the hell he was at the end of that first round. Did not know. That first round's another 15 seconds long, and that fight's probably over.
I don't know, man. Chandler's got a hell of a chin. He recovered.
I'm telling you, man, he does. But I mean, Dustin had him. I mean, you got to pin up against the cage wobbly at that point. Yeah. I mean, it's going to take another 1 or 2 shots to really finish that. So it's a matter if he can land them.
The reason I say that is to Mike's credit, he dominated the second round.
Yeah, he did.
So he could have been up 2-0 on a lot of scorecards.
To answer your question,
only scorecards I checked were the Izzy. Did anybody check those scorecards for that?
I did not. I saw the Izzy one. They all had it 3-1. They had
1-3-4.
Yeah. But I will say, Gene, on my own scorecard, I had Dustin winning that round. Yes, Mike was dominant, but I think the way that round ended and as much damage as he took, I would give the slight edge to Dustin. And that's primarily because if Chandler had gotten a takedown or a knockdown before that, we're having a different discussion. But I think it was close. And at the end of the day, if it's close and one guy ends up putting on more damage than the other, I lean that direction. So I would have gave Dustin that first round, but I easily could have saw it where they gave Mike the first round and it was 1-1.
All 3 judges gave it to Dustin in the first round. All 3 judges gave it to Mike in the second round.
Yeah,
what's popping, Kyle? How you feeling? Kyle Edwards. By the way, if you ain't followed Kyle Edwards yet, man, follow that man. He is awesome, dude. He does pregame and pigskin with me Thursday night. Very intelligent, hardworking. So follow Kyle Edwards. He does the Big 3 Tuesday, pregame and pigskin Thursday. He does a million things.
He's got to be doing a podcast with you. Shit.
But so just to kind of circle back, Chandler Poirier was great. I don't think we've seen Poirier by submission. I was not on your bingo card.
No. Nope. 2 in a row. No.
So let's talk about what's going forward. All right. Let's talk about what's moving forward. Now, there's 2 fights for my man, Khamzat Chimaev. that were both listed after this card. So Hamzat was calling out Alex. He's like, I'll destroy him. If he can't wrestle, I will take him down and destroy him. And then Dana White said there's talks of Hamzat Colby at 170. I think Hamzat should be fighting 185. I really believe that.
I agree.
I mean, especially coming in at 178 for his last fight.
Bro, like if that's the one thing I'll say. Like if they can make excuses or tell whatever stories they did, I think he's just a big dude. I think it's a very tough cut for him. Colby is not a guy you can go in there with like dehydrated and gassed out like that. Like he just can't. Like I think he's doing himself a disservice because I think he could be very successful at 185. I think that's the move for him. He'll be even a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger if he's not making that cut all the time. He'll have more energy. His cardio will be better. I think he's fine at 185. I think that's the move for him.
And he's still he'd still be a big 185 too. So it's not like
agreed. That's what I'm saying.
Walks around 210.
Yeah, agreed. It's
like
what I mean.
He's cut 40 pounds to get down to 170.
Every fight, that's a lot, man. Like I said, I mean, you talk to any wrestler or anybody that does that stuff all the time. Your body, it gets harder every single time you do it, and your body just only has a certain amount of them in it. And before that's when you start seeing freak injuries and stuff like that.
The rule is 25 pounds. Yeah, that's like the rule that they normally stand by is like, don't go 25 pounds less than your walking around weight. And this dude's cutting close to 40 pounds a fight.
I will say, though, Alex is doing the same thing, though. Alex walks around at 225, and he gets down to 185. So
barely.
It took him until the bell.
Yeah, he was the last one there.
Yep.
But, I mean, hey, listen, call it what you want to call it, a spade, but.
Well, I mean, do you want to see the rematch or do you want to see that fight?
I mean, I would see this. The funny thing is, I want to see the rematch, and I'll tell you why I want to see the rematch. Okay. What's up, Brandon? I want to see the rematch. And I'll tell you why I want to see the rematch. I think if Hamzat fights Alex, he kills him. I don't think I think it's absolute destruction, domination, because Alex can't fight on the ground. He just can't. And Hamzat's going to get him on the ground.
Yep.
Whereas if Izzy already said, I don't care if he's the champion or not. Like if we fight, if I have to wait a fight and then he's my next fight, I'm fighting Alex again. If that's the fight not for the title, it makes it a lot less fun. I think that you fight. I think that you give him the rematch, and if Alex wins again, then you feed him to the wolves. And if Izzy wins that fight, then that's a real interesting fight. Hamzat versus Izzy. I think that's a crazy stylistic journey because Izzy's not great on the ground, but he's so wiry that he's tough to hold down. Like you've never seen anybody really hold Izzy down except.
I think my issue would be I can't give Hamzat dibs at Alex when he just missed weight. You can't reward him.
I hear you.
First fight with a championship shot. I think the Kobe one makes a lot of sense, but I already know how that's going to go. If Hamzat misses weight by 7-8 pounds, Kobe's not fighting him. There's no chance there's no chance Kobe is going to go into that fight against him. It doesn't matter how much money Dana throws at him. Kobe's not going to take that fight.
And
so
honestly, if that happens, honestly, why would you at that point?
No, agreed. But if that happens, though, you would figure that fight is either the main event on a fight night or it's the co-main on one of the big cards, and you'd be out of an event at that point. So I don't know if you run that risk of that. So I don't know what's next for Hamzat or Kobe at this point, honestly.
I mean, I look at it this way. If he's going to fight at 185, I don't know if. Well, again, I mean, I agree with Gene. If he's fighting Alex, I think he'd have no problem stepping right in that cage at 185 and fighting him, just because.
No, yeah,
like Gene said,
I'm worried about that.
Yeah, Alex is a turtle if he gets put on his back. I mean, he doesn't know how to get up. But I don't know. Maybe you see him fight like Whitaker or somebody like that. I don't know if Whitaker has the next fight signed.
See, that's an interesting.
He's got Costa
fight.
Already signed.
Yeah, Whitaker's very well rounded though. That's a very I think the problem for Chimaev is somebody that is good enough at takedown defense that makes him stand and that has that stand-up game to keep up with him. Yeah. I think that's where which is funny because I just described Colby, right? Like,
yeah. And Colby's okay if he gets put on his back. Like, I mean,
Colby's incredible a wrestler.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Alex is the outlier there. Alex gets put on his back, like it's literally going to look like a turtle that flipped over. Like it's not going to be good. But I ultimately think we get Izzy's rematch. The dude ran the division for years. I find it very hard to believe that Dana's going to make him wait. I don't see that.
Agreed. All right, fellas. Final thoughts on UFC. We're 26 minutes in. We got a large docket tonight. I got
a quick shout out before we go to NCAA. My boys Larry, Leo, and Tony. What's up, Leo? I hope you feel better. That's all I got. We're good.
All right. NCAA football got a couple big games this week. Baylor, TCU, huge game. You got the blue and red, USC versus UCLA. When was the last time a blue and red game mattered?
Last year's Ohio State-Michigan game?
No, the blue and red game.
I know what you meant.
When was the last time? Oh, I get it. You meant like Big Blue versus. Yeah. I'm talking about the blue and red game. When was the last time?
I know what you're talking about.
I got it now. The coffee's kicking in. I'm good. I understand. But this is going to be a great football game. That's fireworks written all over. The over-under 72.5.
It's a no defense game.
I don't know. I've been a USC fan all year, like rooting for him. I like, Lincoln Riley, Jordan Addison, Caleb Williams. Like, I get it, right? That UCLA team, they look good, man. They look like they're very tough to stop offensively. And I'm going to be real with you. I don't know if USC stops them once. Do you think, all right, so how long will it take for the first punt in that game to happen?
I'll say this. If somebody doesn't just miss a throw and go 3 and out in the first 2 series, I'll say second half.
It's wild, right?
I think I'll say end of the first quarter. I think USC will stop UCLA. They'll force UCLA to punt in the first half. I think into the first quarter.
Okay.
I think the first 2 drives on script are going to be perfect. UCLA's second drive, I think they'll be forced to punt.
So I feel like I know where Cottrell's going with this game. I don't know where I'm going with this game. Luckily, I didn't pick it. I was looking at it. I'm like, I can't pick this game. This is insanity. Cottrell's been on USC all year. Cottrell, why don't you start us off and tell us how UCLA is going to lose this game to USC and how you have USC rolling?
Well, I don't have UCLA, USC necessarily rolling, but I do think USC wins the game. UCLA has outperformed expectations this year. It sucks they got a second loss from that resume because there was a real shot for them to beat this USC team and potentially go on to the Pac-12 championship game, be a 1-loss Pac-12 champ, and have a resume stack up against 3-4 other teams fighting for the 3 and 4 spot. So it's tough that they're not in that position anymore, but this is still a good UCLA team. We talked about DTR earlier in the year. We've talked about Charbonnet. We've talked about how, Coach Kelly gets the most out of those guys at the college level. And this is just another example of it. I just think that USC team it's simply going to come down towards more points. And I trust that USC offense a little bit more. I think will be a higher scoring game. 41-38, 41-37, but I got USC win it in a close shootout.
Shall we?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I mean, I it's a marquee game. I kind of wanted to look at it, and but then the more I dove into the numbers and everything else, I was like, I'm not touching this game. So, I mean, you again, I think we're underestimating just a tad how bad USC's defense really is. It's been covered up a lot because of how great Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison have been. One thing Cottrell didn't mention, which I think is a key to this game now as well, Travis Dye, starting running back for USC, right on the verge of being a 1,000-yard rusher already, out for the year, done.
Yep.
I'm sure Lincoln's got another 5-star kid right there, but Tyson Dye's been their guy all year. It's a big loss. The crazy thing about USC is they really struggle against the run, which is what UCLA wants to do. Zach Charbonnet, again, very familiar with him, was at Michigan for a year. He's going to eat on Saturday. He's going to eat a lot. I think it's a chance he goes 175 plus, maybe breaks the 200 barrier. USC's given up more big chunk plays against opposing rushers than anyone in the country. That's a crazy stat. I think it's going to be a great game to watch. If you like offense, tune in. You have Caleb Williams, DTR, Charbonnet, Jordan Addison. I mean, it's the who's who. It's going to be a track meet. It's going to look like a flag football game probably. UCLA's at home, Rose Bowl. I mean, we'll see. I ultimately, when it boils down to it, at the end of the day, I agree with Cottrell. I think USC gets it done somehow. I hate to use cliches, but I think this is proverbial whoever's the ball last. I really believe that. If your team's up with a minute and a half to go and the other guy's got the ball, you're probably going to lose.
Okay.
So I'll go USC in a squeaker.
I'm with it. I'm going to go USC also because I like them better than UCLA, and Chip Kelly is in UCLA. I can't stand Chip Kelly. So I'll go USC there, but I don't feel confident in it. I'm not very confident who's going to win this football game. Also, I want USC to win for a little bit of chaos. Well, I want there to be arguments and debates on who gets in and who doesn't. USC is one of those teams that I wouldn't mind watching in the college football playoff. I just think that you put them up against number 1 Georgia, and it's not going to be pretty. I think you would love to watch a game of USC versus Tennessee because that would be the type of game you'd want to watch. But
I think UCLA is proud.
If USC went against Georgia, they're going to get destroyed. If they go against Tennessee, it'll be a lot closer game.
USC doesn't stop anybody in the top 4 from putting up 40, and that's the problem.
But I feel like they can put 40 up against Tennessee.
Tennessee, maybe. I don't think they can against the other 3.
That's my point.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And if they don't make it, if Tennessee and USC don't make it, that's a bowl game that we should make. I know it's not going to happen because the Rose Bowl but like that's and listen, maybe they lose. Maybe there's a different Pac-12 winner, and we can make that as a bowl game, Tennessee and USC, because that's a game that I think everyone would want to watch.
You could go which bowl? Which bowl game has the Pac-12 SEC?
I think it's the.
I don't know.
Is it orange?
Nah, because orange is usually ACC, SEC. Yeah. Orange Bowl is going to be like Clemson and LSU or something like that.
Clemson, Alabama, baby.
Might be the Fiesta Bowl. Maybe we can get it there.
Let's get it. Cottrell, what you got for us? College football. College Cottrell.
All right, throw up the rankings, of course.
Rankings.
I think this is a good week to just preview some scenarios here. We all have, well, shouldn't say we all, but we have somewhat difference of opinions when it comes to who should be in versus who's deserving versus who's the top 4 teams in the country. And I think this is a good time to air some of it out. We've talked about, USC being a 1-loss Pac-12 champion. LSU's here and they got 2 losses already, but I mean, if they go up against the number 1 team in Georgia and somehow find a way to win that game, are they in? I mean, there's a lot of craziness that can happen. Of the top, let's say 10 teams, who outside of Alabama, and I guess outside of Alabama, who would you say is for sure just no shot of making it in?
Well, Utah's out. Utah's got 2 losses, and the Florida one isn't looking great, so they have no shot.
Agreed there.
Clemson needs a ton of help, but they can get there. Alabama's out. I think that's it. I mean, I think you can make a case 5, 6, and 7. You can make a
Never
case.
had a 2-loss team in the college football playoff.
The crazier thing is, I was literally just thinking this. Like, I think there's a way LSU beats Georgia and still maybe doesn't get in.
I do too. I mean, I think that's possible.
Talk about scenarios, right? I think TCU, I'm rooting for TCU to lose. I don't think they're a top 4 team in the country. I've been very clear all year. I want the best 4 teams in the country. I want the best football games. Do you really want to watch Georgia TCU? The answers are resounding no. No one wants to watch that game. It's going to be a whitewash and it's going to be embarrassing. So you go to what you want the best 4 teams to be. And in my opinion, there's 5 teams that you can enjoy football and watch in a college football playoff. That's Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Tennessee, and USC. They're the 5 best teams in the country to me. And with that being said, I think that I would prefer for TCU to lose, hopefully this Sunday or this Saturday versus Baylor, USC to win out, and Tennessee. And that's your option. You go between Tennessee and USC. USC wins the Pac-12. Tennessee is a 1-loss team that's only lost 1 game versus at the number 1 team in the country. And I want LSU to lose every time they play. Every time they step on the field, I root for them to lose. If your last name's Kelly and you're coaching college football, I don't like you. I don't like you.
I'm with you on that. I think the one of the go ahead, Gene.
No, I was just the one thing I will say is the Michigan-Ohio State game becomes more and more interesting. And listened, 3-4 weeks ago, I thought it was a foregone conclusion Ohio State was going to win that football game. I don't think that anymore. I watch both those teams play, and man, listen, granted it's at Ohio State. Michigan still looks like the better team to me. And Ohio State can turn it on when the game gets big and the name recognition. We talk about styles make fights, right? With Israel Adesanya. You don't believe that Ohio State team remembers getting bullied last year? That might be in the back of their mind. And I think that Michigan just looks like the better football team this year. I actually think if Michigan didn't do what I think is egregious and schedule the most pansy schedule outside of non-conference schedule ever, then they would be 2 and Ohio State would be 3 because they've looked more impressive.
They weren't supposed to play Hawaii this year. UCLA actually pulled the plug on their 2-game agreement late last year, so they just had no options. So they were supposed to play UCLA the 2nd game of the year this year.
Okay.
I mean, I think the one thing about these rankings that I actually hate is if you look at North Carolina and Clemson's resume so far, they're almost identical and they're 4 slots away from each other. North Carolina's a 1-loss team. They lost to Notre Dame. Clemson's a 1-loss team. And they lost to Notre Dame. And for North Carolina to be not getting that much respect, especially when they have a quarterback that's, I think, 3rd right now with the Heisman odds, to me, it's somewhat disrespectful. And I would think that, we just talked about there's a way for Clemson to make it in. They would just need a lot of help. I think that conversation needs to be had for North Carolina. Now, granted, they're at 13 right now. I don't think that they're getting in, even if they went out and they're a 1-loss ACC champion. But I think a lot of that is because they're not getting the respect that's due to them right now. Because, I mean, what they have left in their schedule, they have NC State this week and Clemson next week. So if they come out of both those games with wins, I mean, I would say they have to be sitting at least 8, maybe 7 when it's all said and done come conference championship week. And if you're there, I think you should have a chance to make it into the playoff, but they're just getting overlooked right now.
That's a very good point. I just think that people see the ACC for the frauds they are. If I'm just being honest with you.
Which is fine, but if that's how you feel, I think North Carolina should be 13 and Clemson should be 12. Or, Clemson should be 10, North Carolina should be 11. Like, they should be right next to each other. It shouldn't be this 3-team gap just because Clemson has that brand behind them.
Agreed. I mean, we can do the quick. You want to do the quick movement game? I like the movement game. We've done that every week.
Yeah, there's frauds all over this. You go from
Agreed.
like 15 down. Like, I bitched about Notre Dame last week. So what do? They play a horrible Navy team and get taken to the final buzzer. Almost lose, and they go up 3 spots somehow. Wonder why. I watched that entire game.
Bro, they were up 21 points with 6 minutes left.
That's not accurate. That game
Navy was getting destroyed. They scored 2 last.
Navy was getting killed in that game.
Bro, they were down like 7 at half. Or no, they were down 13 at half. Sorry, because they tried some stupid play.
I think it was 31-13 with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And then they scored 2 touchdowns to make it look a lot closer than it was late.
Regardless, Notre Dame stinks.
Listen, I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I just
Oklahoma State.
Navy is my super dog.
Oklahoma State is back in the rankings somehow. Oregon State, I mean, they don't have a good win. I don't know, man. There's a lot of fluff in here right now to make teams, higher up look better, and that's the annoying part of it all to me.
It's fair.
I think part of that though too is there's a lot more. We talked about parity last year. The top teams last year were the top teams. I think this year there's a lot more parity when it comes to outside of that top 10. Like you don't have these, like a team like Cincinnati, for example, you don't have that kind of team that's running the table undefeated, that's higher up in the rankings. And that's why you see more of these top teams with, 2-3 losses and they're still in the top 25.
My question,
I don't know if there's many arguments that you can make for outside teams right now that should be in the top 25.
My question for both of you guys, actually, if Notre Dame played Florida State, UCF, Tulane, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, NC State, or Cincinnati, does anybody have a doubt that they win the football games?
I think the way Florida State's playing now, I think that's a good football game.
Yeah.
UCF, I mean, Tulane. I mean, listen, they're the non-power fives that are on here. I mean, so yeah, they're going to beat them. But I don't know, maybe not. I mean, Marshall beat them, so I don't know. But Oklahoma State probably, Oregon State, yes. NC State, if Devin Leary was playing, I think it's a very good football game. And they beat Cincinnati this year. The Cincinnati team just lost too many kids from the team last year.
All right, so let's do the movement game. Do you want me to go bottom top this time, or do you want to stay on the same level we were on last week?
What do you mean? Same level?
What order?
Same order.
Oh,
I don't care.
Oh, I would love to go first because I know where I'm going right away.
Go first.
North Carolina, and Utah. Yep, that's easy.
So you got North Carolina 10 now and Clemson 9. Utah is now at 13. Shally, give me a mix.
So North Carolina's 10 now.
Yes. Can't touch North Carolina or Utah.
I will. I'll flip flop. I'm flip flopping USC and LSU.
That's exactly what I was going to do. I can't stand you. That's exactly what I was going to do.
So go ahead and do what would give us our 4 best teams then, Gene?
Well, I can't.
I know you want to do it.
I can't give an undefeated. I would love to flip Tennessee and TCU, but TCU's got to lose. I've been a proponent of a team doesn't lose, they deserve to be there. I don't want them there. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm rooting for them, their resume to fall apart. You know what? I'll do something controversial. I'll flip Michigan, Ohio State. I think Michigan looks like the better football team this year. They do. They look like the better football team. And I thought it was a foregone conclusion Ohio State would beat them this year. Coming into the year. I just did. All year I've been talking about when Ohio State beats Michigan. I don't feel that way anymore. And Shally brought something up to me like 2.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago at softball, where he said that spread opened up because they had that spread, like that look ahead spread for Ohio State, Michigan. That spread opened up at like 13 or 14. I think it's down to 8. It might be even lower than that now.
So it's 6.5.
It's 6.5.
Yeah.
And it opened up really 17 high. 17.5.
17.5 is where it opened?
Yep.
That's a huge jump. It sounds like Vegas is like, oh, man. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, granted, I think, when did it open up? Do you know?
Early October.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say.
It was like 3 or 4 weeks into the season.
Yeah. Maybe when it first opened up, Cade was still the quarterback. That's the only thing I could think of where they lose a little bit of points.
You're telling yourself fairy tales to make yourself feel better when you go to sleep at night. Cade only started one game. He started game 1. That's it.
I mean, but Jim was going back and forth the first 3 weeks of the season, though. Like, granted,
that's not true.
He
Cade
was
started game. Cade,
I know, and then
Cade started game 1. JJ started game 2,
and then he started game 3. But it was still
JJ's been a starter since.
Correct, but when they went into game 3, it was still Jim. Jim was talking about relating it to biblical times and all that stuff. So before he officially gave JJ the job,
JJ's been the starter since week 3.
Look, we'll get into that next week. I'm not even going to dive too far into that right now.
Heavyweight fight.
Rivalry week.
Can't wait.
Are we anything else we need to talk about before we move on to pick 'em?
Nothing else. Nothing else.
We already touched TCU and Baylor a little bit. I mean, that game matters, obviously. I'm like Gene. I don't want to sit here and root for somebody to lose, but it's just like
I will.
I know you will. At the same time, like they have to go down somewhere for us all to get what we want. The other big game is Utah and Oregon, because the winner of that is probably going to face USC in the championship game, assuming USC wins on Saturday.
Yep. I think the only other thing that, well, at least for me, that I think of when I see these rankings, I personally, of course, I want to see Ohio State make it into the playoff, but outside of that, every year I like seeing new teams make it in. Now, that doesn't have to be TCU this year. If Tennessee makes, they'd be a new team, or if USC makes, they'd be a new team. But I like seeing the fresh faces in there and having more parity in college football. And I think this would have been the perfect year to open up that playoff to 12 teams. Granted, I only think there's like 4 or 5 teams that can actually win the championship this year, but I think you would have had a lot of matchups that would have looked really good in that top 12.
Yeah, I mean, so you're loser of Clemson, North Carolina is gone. As of right now, UCF would get in. They would be like they'd be the 12 seed. And then everything else would probably stay status quo. So, yeah, I mean, the top 4 would get a bye, and then you got like Tennessee hosting UCF. So that's not a good game. Tennessee destroys them.
But I mean,
Penn State's got to go to Penn State's got to go to. No, I agree. I'm just saying. I'm just going over the matchups. Penn State goes to LSU. Utah plays USC again. That's crazy. And then you get Alabama, Clemson. Like that. Those are all like you're watching football for 24 hours nonstop. Like that's.
Penn State beats LSU at LSU.
I mean, I think Penn State's tough because. Granted, their 2 losses look great. I mean, because they lost to Ohio State and Michigan, but they haven't beat anybody good either. So it's like I think they're better than maybe I thought they were, but I really don't know how good they are. I don't know if they go to Death Valley win that game.
Both games when they played Michigan and Ohio State, both games. Joseph Jeffers said it perfectly. Not if it's a night game at LSU. I get it.
Which is going to be.
But both games versus Ohio State and Michigan, Penn State was leading in the second half. Both games. Now, let's put it to you, fourth quarter, crunch time, you need a quarterback. Penn State doesn't have that. But with that being said, their overall team, they're not a bad team. I would love to see Penn State with like a kid that could be drafted.
Drew Aller, their backup quarterback.
He's there. I mean, it's just a matter of, 2
weeks ago, James Franklin pulled the plug and benched Sean Clifford. Drew Aller came in, poised as could be, threw 2 touchdowns, looked great. And the following week, he went right back to Sean Clifford. That tells you everything you need to know about how much talent Aller has.
Clifford also came out of that game because he was hurt. But yeah, I mean, at this point, dude, they're going to ride it out. And
he said, "Pull the plug." Yeah, he was injured.
He could have came back in the. He wasn't like out of the game.
In Cottrell's defense, he wasn't playing well either, but he did get hurt. He got sacked. He hurt his shoulder, and I think just precautionary, they kept him out, and then Aller went in and did his thing. I mean, listen, dude. I mean,
game he could have played.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But Aller would have. He was balling.
He's the future. I mean, he's a big kid. I mean, he's got a cannon. I mean, that's somebody that, you hope that they can build around and figure it out. Because I mean, the kid has all the talent in the world to go win any game you need him to. It's going to be the supporting cast, and I hate to say it, freaking coaching. So,
yeah, you ain't gonna say it. Listen, I'll say it for you.
You got Aller there. You got a freshman running back now that's having a great season.
Yep.
Penn State's going to be a team to look out for if James Franklin doesn't make them collapse.
Oh, he will.
They got to get their offensive line figured out.
All right.
I don't know if Penn State stopped recruiting 5-star offensive linemen, but apparently it's happened.
Let's get into pick 'em, boys. Who picks the order?
Go ahead, Gene. You got it in the win-loss record column.
I'll go first. Cottrell goes second. Shally goes third. You could be the rose in between two thorns. I like going first. This college football. I really do. Let me start off with the over 62.5. Oregon versus Utah. Bo Nix is playing at home, and Utah is moving the ball very well. I'll take the over 62.5. Oregon versus Utah. Pac-12 shootouts. Second game on the docket. Give me Baylor plus 2.5 over TCU. Hey, unranked Baylor is playing TCU, and they're only getting 2.5 points. What does that tell you? TCU should win this game only by a field goal. That's all they got to win by. Give me Baylor plus 2.5. And last on the docket, they screwed me last week, so I'm betting against them this week. Indiana was getting 40 points and then didn't pick up one Superdog point for me. So give me Michigan State minus 10.5, which they shouldn't be favored by 10.5 over anybody. But give me Michigan State minus 10.5 over Indiana. And for my Superdog, give me the U plus 19.5 over Clemson. I'll take the U plus 19.5 to pick me up some points over Clemson.
I thought we were gonna get some more Vanderbilt slander there. That's where I thought you were going.
I did too. I thought we were.
They finally got you, bro. They finally got you.
I'm 17-1 picking Vanderbilt games.
They might mess around and be bowl eligible. Who knows?
I know they had enough of your shit.
Oh man, I can't slander Vandy anymore. Vandy is given themselves a rest of the year reprieve.
I thought you were actually going to pick them the way you started talking. I was about to give you a standing over, actually taking them.
No, they're still maybe not against them anymore.
They're like 14-point dogs this week too.
Yeah, they are.
So that's funny.
What do they play this week?
I don't remember, but I remember looking at the spread. Vandy's 14-point dogs, and they just won last week.
Yeah.
What a disappointment Kentucky is, man.
Yeah, it's crazy how people
stop pretending Will Levis is good.
It's not so much that, man. He's obviously he's done some crazy things this year. It's just I think people need to
Florida. They're facing Florida.
Have a realistic point of view of what's around him.
This is a top 10 pick.
I mean, I'm not taking him number one. I mean, I've seen him number one in a couple mocks already. I think that's
I ain't taking him on the first 2 days.
I would take him second day.
Bro, Will Levis, and I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to say it again, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it again. Will Levis is Sam Ehlinger. You're welcome. Let me help you right now. It's the same damn player. This is who he is.
He's definitely more. I think he's better. He's more physically gifted than Sam Ehlinger is.
Okay.
The problem with Will Levis is you're going to have to coach the Kentucky out of him. That's going to be the problem. Like the whole gunslinger, like you can't throw 2 bad picks a game in the NFL. Like you'll be out of a job faster than you can blink. He's way more. I'll say, and I'll agree with you on this. He is definitely way more of a project than a lot of people want to lead on. Like you're talking, these guys tell if you need a quarterback in the top 10, like you have to look at him. Absolutely not. Like this kid, if you're picking somebody top 10,
hold on. This class versus last class, would you take him over Kenny Pickett?
No.
Would you take him over Malik Willis?
No.
Would you take him over Desmond Ridder?
Yes.
I'll take him over Ridder.
So you have Malik Willis over Ridder?
I do.
I don't like either one of them. I think Malik Willis and Ridder.
No, but I think Malik Willis is not a horrible comparable to him though. The comparison, like physically gifted, it's just you're years away from him being able to be a quality NFL starter. So all these people that are like if you're taking a quarterback in the top 10, you have to have a decent amount of confidence that if he has a good camp and looks good, he can start for your franchise next year. Will Levis should not be a starting quarterback in the NFL next year.
Agreed. Okay, fellas, NFL action, NFL time.
Whoa.
Nobody else can get
No, nobody else can get picked.
Damn, G,
I did my picks, and that's all that matters. Yeah, Gatrell.
All right, I get these out the way. I got a one game spectacular for you. Akron at Buffalo. Out the over 47.5. And my second pick is going to be Buffalo minus 13.5. I think Buffalo scores 40 points in this one. And I think it's like a 40-14, 38-10 kind of game where you get that over, and Buffalo also covers that 13.5 very easily. And then my third pick for this week is going to be Texas minus 9.5 at Kansas. Look, I get it. Kansas they've rebounded well since their starting quarterback has been injured, but Texas is just a much better football team. I think they go to Kansas, and I think they put it on them. I know Texas just came off of a disappointing loss against TCU, but I mean, for Texas, you're still fighting for a shot to somehow make it into the Big 12 championship game. So I think they go into Kansas and they roll on that one. And then my super dog this week, none of them really stood out to me, but I'm going to go with South Carolina plus 21.5 versus Tennessee. It's a home game for South Carolina, and it is Jekyll and Hyde as they've been. I think Spencer Rattler has the ability to try to keep that game within 3 scores. So of all the games available, I think this is your best shot. So give me the Gamecocks plus 21.5 at home.
Real quick before Bill goes, hi mom. My mom just entered the chat. Hi mom, Miss Gloria Walzak. Listening,
Mama G,
supporting the show. How y'all feeling? All right, guys, Shally.
So I gotta give Cottrell a little bit of credit. So I don't know if anybody watched the Bowling Green Toledo game last night. The funniest part of it was my one boss put it and bet it and put it as part of his parlay. And texting back and forth to him while that game was going on was mayhem. That was an exciting game. Apparently nobody in the MAC can play defense, but that's okay. It's
Correct.
Fun. All right, so my 3 of the week. I got 2 games at the end that are going to surprise you, one for a pick and one for a super dog. The other 2, I think, are a little bit more straightforward. First pick I'm going to go LSU minus 14.5 at home against UAB. I know UAB is better than a lot of people think they are. I just think they're going to really struggle to score the ball in LSU against LSU. That defense is getting better every week. They get off to horrible starts offensively where they can't move the ball. Watching their Arkansas game last week was painful at times, but over the course of the game, I think they'll wake up. I think they'll get enough big plays against UAB. I think they win the game by 20 plus. So I'll take LSU minus 14.5. Second game I'm taking the same thing as Cottrell, Texas minus 9.5 at Kansas. Kansas was the darling at the beginning of the year, the Cinderella story. Then the quarterback got hurt. I picked them twice on Pick'em and got them right both times. But they are a shell of what they were 5 weeks ago. To Cottrell's point, mathematically, they still have a shot to get into the Big 12 title game. They have no college playoff aspirations, but I think it would be huge if they somehow win. Maybe they get a rematch against TCU, and that defense is good enough to win. So I'm going to go Texas minus 9.5 at TCU. I think they rebound. I think Quinn Ewers is a better game. I think they get it done and they move on. 2 surprising picks here at the end. And I'm going to tell you they're going to have the same common theme. I think the 2 teams we've talked about a lot tonight, Michigan and Ohio State, both get caught looking ahead a little bit to next week. Illinois is still fighting to get into the Big Ten or the Big Ten title game. They could still win the West, believe it or not, because it's just an absolute disaster over there. Everybody has like 3 losses. I don't think Michigan's in any danger ever of losing the game. I think it's a lower scoring game. They're not going to have great weather this weekend. It's going to be, both teams like to run the ball a lot as it is. I think Illinois finds a way to stay within 17.5. So I'll take Illinois to cover. Superdog going the same thing. Maryland against Ohio State. Maryland getting 27.5. Not going to be good weather conditions. I think Maryland can spread the ball out enough and score against Ohio State. Because, again, I'm just not sold on that defense. Baby 2 is playing a little bit better. He seems to be healthy again. And I also think that with the weather, and I think Ohio State's looking a little – they're going to look ahead a little bit to next week with Michigan coming to town. So I will take my Superdog. I will take Maryland plus 27.5. That's what I got this week.
Bro, I love that. I love that pick, that Superdog pick. I really do, because it's such a look-ahead game for Ohio State. You're going to pick up a lot of points in that one. That game's going to be way closer than Ohio State wants it to be.
The problem is that Ohio State does a horrible job of throwing on garbage points late to make your Superdog not look as good.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that you got to worry about with them. The garbage time points to make the numbers look a lot better than what they are. But I agree, though. Those are two good picks at the end.
Love it. Love it. I'm hyped with it. Let's get in NFL now. You see I'm rocking my Free Justin Field shirt. Free Justin. I got the bear. X the bear out. But we got a lot of things going on in the NFL, right? A lot of things. First thing we got to talk about, somebody tag Freddie's ass. Someone tag Freddie. Get him in the chat. Make sure he's there. Comment. Because the first thing we want to talk about is the undefeated Eagles going down and getting their first loss versus the Washington Commanders on Monday Night Football. And then after that, I'm going to go on a little bit of rant of one of my guys, one of my friends, Freddie. But we'll get into that as soon as I can see him comment. Someone tag him. All right, so first things first. Eagles get beat on Monday Night Football. Initial thoughts. I'll start. And then you guys can give me your full prediction or full what happened in the game. All right, so Washington took the game plan that Houston so brilliantly laid out. Jordan Davis gets hurt. We're going to run the ball up the middle versus these pass rushing defensive tackles that Philadelphia has. That's exactly what they did. They ran the ball 3 yards, 4 yards, stayed ahead of the sticks. I think they had 13 third and ones, 14 third and ones. I'm kidding, but the third and ones were insanity to me. They stole the entire game plan from Houston, which is smart. Something works, it works. And they kept the game close like they should. I don't want to blame the referees. Referees were terrible. But I don't want to blame the referees. And I'm going to tell you why I don't want to blame the referees. When you're in a match versus Washington. Listen, if this was a Super Bowl and we were playing the Buffalo Bills and the referees made those egregious calls and it was two great teams going back and forth, okay, that's fine. We can have a conversation about the referees. We're talking about the 4-5, now 5-5 Commanders with Taylor Heineke. The referees should be able to make 4 or 5 bad calls and it shouldn't matter. Philadelphia is that much better. They played flat. They didn't run the ball with Miles Sanders. They ran it one time in the first half. Didn't do it until second half. A.J. Brown uncharacteristically drops a pass, turns into I can't call it a drop, but him popping it up turned into an interception. Quez Watkins makes a ridiculous diving catch, turns into a fumble. Dallas Goedert almost has his neck ripped off. Turns into a fumble. A lot of things bounced the right way for Washington. But with that being said, Philadelphia Eagles can't allow that game to be. And listen, if the Eagles didn't, by the way, that Brandon Graham penalty at the end of the game made me sick. But if the Eagles didn't have the possession, down 26-21, with the ball and go 3 and out with Jalen Hurts getting sacked on third down, them having to punt the ball, I would feel a little worse about the situation. We had the ball with the opportunity to win the football game. And we punted the ball back to Washington. If a fumble happened on that drive, something happened on that drive, a bad call, a blown call, okay. We had the ball in our hands. We had the opportunity to win the football game. We punted the ball back to Washington. Yes, we get the 3 and out. We get the exact 3 and out we need. But I'm not going to say the Eagles are still going to win that football game if they don't make that egregious call on Brandon Graham. Do I think they drive down and win the game? Sure. But how do I say they win the game if they don't make that egregious call on Brandon Graham? Because they just got stopped, which means they got to get the ball, 1:38, no timeouts, go downfield, score a touchdown. Not a field goal, a touchdown. Eagles lost a football game. Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey both said after the game, the weakest thing you can do is blame the refs. We don't blame the refs. It's on us. We play like crap. That's leadership. I love that leadership. So I'm gonna pause there, get your guys' feedback on that.
I want to just go real quick here because I agree with like 95% of what you said. The only thing that I disagree with is the call on Brandon Graham wasn't egregious. It as much as I hated it. I mean, it is what it is. He took a knee, Brandon Graham hit him, and you got to throw the penalty there. I think that's just at this point what we've seen in the league and how they're policing the roughing the passer. And if somebody gives themselves up, you got to call that there. And
can I rebuttal that?
Go ahead.
Real quick. He stopped, put his hands up to just stop himself. He was hustling to the play. Correct. This is not Barbies. This is not, we're not playing flag football.
To that same thing, I understand that, but if that same play happens and a punt returner calls a fair catch and there's someone running down and the momentum, hits the returner, it's the same thing. And if someone gives themselves up, you can't hit them, and they are going to call that 10 times out of 10. That's just how it is. We can hate it as much as we want to. They're going to call it. That's just what they do, especially with the quarterback position.
He was trying to get up. He thought he was trying to get up.
It doesn't matter if he's trying to get up. It doesn't matter. The play's dead, no matter what.
Here's the
I get it.
Yeah, here's the issue with it. The whistle was late, and if you really watch the replay, Brandon Graham comes off his block, and when he comes off his block, Taylor Heineke's already on the ground. He doesn't know why he's on the ground. He doesn't know if he's taking a knee, if he dropped the freaking football. He doesn't know anything.
Correct.
And to Gene's point, there was no malice in that whatsoever. He literally slid on his knees and went like this. Like it was a bad call. You want to protect.
That's not the nature of the call, though. It's not malice. It's you touch it. You touch a guy like that when he's down. It's
to say he hit him is an overstatement too. He kind of slid into him and ran into him. There was no hit. There was no lowering of his shoulder or tackling. He was already on the ground and he fell over. Like, I think that's all a stretch as well.
It's also Bush League. The Taylor Heineke stood up and celebrate like he won the damn Super Bowl because he got a roughing the passer penalty.
I mean, the game was essentially over. I understand being excited about a big win. You knock off an undefeated team. I get the emotion there.
You celebrated a roughing the passer call.
That wins you a football game. It's not like it was in the second quarter.
Listen, I mean, the crazy thing is, I mean, the game didn't matter to them because if the playoffs started today, they would be in. So, it is what it is. I agree with Gene. I agree with Kelsey. I agree with Graham. That as bad and as egregious as some of those calls were, that's not why they lost the football game. Number one, they came out flat, which again, you having 12 days off, that's unacceptable. I think the more concerning thing was, Gene touched on it a couple weeks ago with Jordan Davis getting hurt. I think we assumed a little bit that the run defense was going to struggle. I don't think not to that degree. But on top of that, I was more concerned about how well Washington threw the ball against Slay with McLaurin and even Bradbury at times. Granted, they got the huge interception at the end when Heineke pretty much threw it up and just didn't read the coverage at all. But that's the first time anybody's really thrown the ball that effectively against us. I mean, maybe all year. That being said, my biggest issue with the whole game outside of the defense was the play calling for the Eagles. All year you have this formula that's been working. Run miles, run everything Jalen does off of that. It's been successful. It's like they almost got bored. You started the game with 4 rushes, and then they threw 16 straight passes. It's crazy. I don't know why they try to outthink themselves and they got cute. You didn't do Jalen any favors. And you sure as hell, I mean, when you start running Miles Sanders for big 6, 7, 8 yard gains again, but it's when you're trailing. If you're doing that when you're winning, you're putting a team away. You're now up and you're putting a team away. You're taking time off the clock. It's football 101. And they've been doing it all year. Miles is having a great year. Jalen has been able to run the RPO off of that. He's looked incredible all year. And now all of a sudden against Washington, we got cute and we're trying to throw the ball all over the goddamn stadium. I didn't understand it. The play calling was awful on Monday. It was awful. So, I mean, listen, I'm not one of the proponents of always saying like a loss is a good thing sometimes, but sometimes it is. The only time I don't like it is when, you take an undefeated team and they lose the last game of the season and the last taste they have in their mouth before a playoff game is a loss. I hate that. So I hate when people say it with that. When you're 8-0 and you lose a middle game, a game in the middle of the season to a divisional opponent, is it the end of the world? No. We talked about it last week on the show. The odds of them going undefeated were not good. And we all knew the loss was going to come somewhere. I don't think anybody would have picked Washington, but, that's where we are now. So, they got a tough road trip this weekend. I hope everybody gets their heads out of their proverbial asses and it gets back to calling what works for this football team. And they go to Indy and they get a win. It'll be a good road win. Indy, I don't know what to expect out of Indy. Indy kind of looked like the Indy we thought we were going to kind of get this last week with Jeff Saturday, put Matt Ryan back in. But I mean, Shaquille Leonard's out for the year now. He had surgery again, so they lost their best defensive player. But that's a tough road game. They got to go in there Indy and win that game now. So we'll see what happens. I'm more looking forward to see how this team responds. That's what I'm looking forward on Sunday.
And the Eagles lose Goddard and Maddox for significant time.
Yeah, I mean, they finally put Goddard on IR today. I was hoping that wasn't going to happen, but
and Goddard getting hurt as a directive on the face mask.
That's the crappy part about that. I mean, I think we can all agree that the face mask was egregious. How two referees looking right at that play, neither one of them saw it, is just crazy to me. But then you factor in the fumble, and then on top of all that, he gets hurt. That's like the triple whammy kicking the balls play for the Eagles. And listen, I mean, Jalen likes to throw the ball to him. That's a huge loss for us. We don't have back in the day when we had Goddard and Zach Ertz. It was like, okay, we're still okay, but we have a big drop off at tight end now. So it'll be curious to see how they work around that.
You're not a big Jack Stoll guy? Little Grant Calcaterra? No?
My confidence is not brimming right now.
Let's talk about the rest of the week after the Eagles lost. Game of the year, Vikings, Buffalo. Justin Jefferson, one of the catches of the year. Maybe one of the best catches of all time. But I will say this. What's popping, Tim Todd? How you feeling tonight? I will say this. The Buffalo defender, I'm not sure who it was. I didn't get the name. I should have got the name. That tried to intercept that ball on a 4th down instead of smacking the ball down. The game's over. Now, I'm glad he made the catch because it's being talked about and it's incredible. But why do you not knock that ball down? Why are you trying to intercept the ball 20 yards downfield? When it's 4th down, you get the ball 20 yards further.
Situational awareness
smart, Gene.
Situational awareness is a thing, I think, in a game like that where it's been going back and forth to begin with. In the moment, you try and make that play be the hero. You got the home crowd behind you. It's 4th and 18. You get the pick on Justin Jefferson. I mean, it's a whole bunch of things. Obviously, it wasn't the smart football play, but I think the craziest part about that is, regardless of that happening, the Bills still had an opportunity to win that game and didn't happen, And I'm not solely going to put it on Josh Allen. I'm not going to solely put it on that DB not making that play.
I put it on Josh Allen.
I agree with Gene. That looked like Josh Allen from 2
Why
years
is
ago.
Josh Allen not held to the same regard as other?
I mean, with that,
he's like the NFL's darling now.
in overtime, I'll put that on him. The snap exchange
overtime.
Two
terrible picks.
The pick with Patrick Peterson that sealed the game. But I mean, on the goal line, I don't know if I put that solely. I think there's just so much that go into that when you're on literally the half yard line, and
as big as he is, Cottrell, the only thing you needed to worry about is the snap exchange. That's it.
Agreed.
He can't stop him from falling forward over the goal line.
No.
Agreed. How often do you see Josh Allen under center though?
Well, I will say this: there's been 2 fumbles on the 1 yard line, and the last on kneel down attempts in the last 100 years of football. They've both been Josh Allen.
How often? I mean, look at the numbers though. How often is Josh Allen actually?
I get what you're saying. I get it. I know what you're saying, and there's definitely validity to that point. I mean, I wouldn't argue that, but it's kind of like Gene said. It's like in baseball when like somebody hits like an 8-hopper to you, and the guy like to hit it like can't run. Like literally, the only thing you have to do is make sure you field the ball. Like all he has to do is make sure that ball gets in his hands, and then fall forward, and they're gonna do it 2 more times, and then they're gonna punt. Like I don't know. That was the worst I've seen him play in a long time. I
mean, agreed. I mean, I think you kind of saw that though with Buffalo's game plan going into the game. You know, they got Devin Singletary involved early, and in the red zone, they were putting the ball in his hands, and they were expecting.
You can tell he's not 100% healthy.
Exactly. So you knew Buffalo's game plan going in was we need Josh Allen to throw the ball, but we don't need him to go in and be Superman. And he wasn't throwing the ball well. And I mean, if you say I think he was the biggest reason that they lost the game. I just don't want to solely put it on him. That's all I was
so Cottrell, let me ask you another question. Do you think there's some merit to the fact that he's like 1-16 in 1-score games the last 2 years? I'm kidding. I'm being sarcastic, but like
I think there's merit that he can't win those games, and he's 0-4 in overtime at this point in his career as well. I think there is merit to that. I don't want to give him any excuses, because if you're capable of getting out on the field, I think you're capable of, I guess, scrutiny. And in this situation, I think I give Josh.
I'm glad you didn't change it. I'm glad you didn't change it.
I give Josh his credit for getting out there on the field, but I also give him blame for playing injured and not putting his team in the best position to win. Now, granted, before the game, I'm gonna stay consistent with it. Before the game, I said I didn't think that they would win with Case Keenum, and I think that game was a lot closer because Josh Allen played. However, you get them. I disagree. I think if you need Case Keenum to make a play in overtime, I don't think that happens. Granted, if you want to argue that Case Keenum doesn't fumble the ball at the 1 yard line, I would say that there's some validity to that as well. But I think with Josh Allen, you can't turn the ball over.
I think Case Keenum doesn't throw that interception when Buffalo could have went up 6.
I agree.
I also think there's certain possessions where Buffalo punts before they get down there and score. So I think there's so much that would change in the dynamic of this game. But
I will say this: Minnesota played a hell of a game. I've never seen a wide receiver ever in my history of watching football. Never seen a wide receiver completely take over a game the way Justin Jefferson did. The catches that he were making was incredible.
Refused to lose.
He solidified himself to me as the best receiver in the NFL. The best receiver in the NFL. Make that very clear. Over Cooper Kupp, over Devontae Adams, over DeAndre Hopkins, over Jamar Chase. Right now, number 1, over Cheetah, over Waddle. Right now, the best receiver in football is Jay Jettas.
I agree.
You can tell him I said it.
I had him 1 going into the season, so I agree 100%.
Who did I have 1? Did I have him 1 too?
You changed it last minute, remember? You put Devontae 1, and you had Jettas 3, but you were like you wanted to flip flop between those 2.
Got it. Okay. Let's get into this.
I'm waiting for this rant, man.
Freddie ain't in here. So I'll do it for my You Got to Be Kidding Me. I don't care. Freddie's getting this rant. I tagged him. 100%. I'm just waiting for him. Just be like,
Okay.
I'm here. Okay. So let's get in this week. This week is, I don't want to too much at games. I don't want to go too much into games. Just once again, another week in the NFL where the games aren't really the best. There's not really like awesome games. I guess you could say Chiefs Chargers. I don't think it's a good game. I think it will be a good game. It's Sunday Night Football.
That game only intrigues me because it looks like finally everybody's going to play. So Keenan is, I guess done nursing his hamstring for 3.5 months. Looks like Mike Williams is going to play. So should at least have a full strength Chargers team. So that's the only reason I'm curious to watch that football game.
And the game of the week this week is Dallas at Minnesota, which I am very strongly picking. So we should talk about that for a minute, but I kind of wanted to give you guys a couple hot stove questions.
Okay.
I'm picking that game too.
So before I get the hot stove, just one quick comment. Is anybody using Mark Davis as their You Got to Be Kidding Me this week?
I am not.
For his comments.
Did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
Rome was not built in a day. I think Josh is doing a great job coaching the Raiders.
Yep. I saw that. And I also saw the report that followed it. So
they didn't have the money to fire him.
Yeah. So you got to be behind them. You got to be behind them 100% and be like, we're not firing them because we believe in them, not because we're broke.
The Raiders are cash poor. That was my favorite part of that.
Al Davis is rolling over in his grave right now.
Just win, baby.
Just pay the bills. Just keep the light on, baby.
Yeah.
Like, what? Are the Rams done?
Yes. They are cooked. Cup on IR, Matt Stafford, concussion protocol. Who knows if he plays this week? His favorite target's not going to be there. We saw how much he struggled this year, even with Cup on the field. I think they're done.
I agree.
I agree also. Pretty odd to say that. Freddie in here yet?
Nope.
No Freddie.
All right. Not yet.
No Freddie. Freddie busy.
So I'm going to tag Freddie again. I'm going to keep bringing it up. Not
Maybe
playing.
we need to go to sleep so Freddie appears.
I think he's scared at getting what I'm about to send him. That's okay. How about the Washington Commanders have said this week that Wentz is not ready, Heineke, to start again? Do you believe that Wentz is not ready? And do you believe that they should make the change at quarterback?
I think it's a little bit of both. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
I agree.
I think
any bit of both. I think Wentz was ready to come off today.
I do think you have to watch him throw. Like with it being a finger on his throwing hand, I think there's being able to play and then versus him being comfortable enough to throw the ball. But I also think that's also them buying them time because I think they've played so much better with Heineke and they're hot right now. So I mean, I think if they can come up with any kind of politically correct excuse to keep him on the field for next week, I think that's what they're going to do.
Is this not the Cooper Rush thing?
I was about to say, I think this is exactly the same as the whole Dallas thing.
Same
All you
thing.
need is
Dak's not ready.
You're waiting on the Commanders to get blown out and Carson Wentz be back in there as quick as can be.
Carson's not ready yet. 3 weeks later, still not ready. Oh, we
they
lost.
Get blown out.
He's ready.
Hey, he's ready.
Yeah, they said Dak's ankle wasn't good. He's like pulling like trucks across the turf like for like field warm up. Like he's not medically cleared though.
Saints still sticking with Andy Dalton. Right decision, wrong decision.
Dude,
I say right
Saints
decision.
are disaster.
Jameis Winston to begin with wasn't great. Him not healthy or a healthy Andy Dalton, I think that decision should be easy. And as bad as they've been this year, they still have a chance to win that division because everyone has been horrible. Tampa Bay is starting to get it back together, but
Tampa Bay looks like they figured it out
now that Tom
so
Brady's gotten his divorce out the way, he's ready to play football again.
2-0.
Women I'm just saying, I think the Saints are still in a position. At this point, they're only 2 games back. Like, it's nothing too crazy right now. So I think Andy Dalton is the right decision for this team.
I think you're in a blink, and Tampa Bay is going to be like 10-5, and that division's going to be a disaster behind it. But I don't disagree. I mean, Jameis drives you crazy when he is healthy, and he's right. And Andy Dalton is nothing to get excited about. But I think for them getting healthy and their defense starting to look like we thought that defense was going to look this year, and they're starting to play a little bit better. They got a couple of big home games coming up at home. To Cottrell's point, if they can win, kind of keep pace with Tampa Bay, he's probably the safer pick, in my opinion.
Okay, well, I have one more question, and I have a couple mid-season comments.
I got one for you when you're done.
Okay. Are the Bucks back?
Yes.
That's what I was getting into. I was in that division, and Cottrell's like, well, the Bucks are back. I'm like, stop it.
We foreshadowed for you. We foreshadowed.
The Bucks are definitely back. I think now that Tom Brady has his whole divorce situation behind him, I think he can truly focus on football. Everything's already out in the public too, so it's not like he has to, be focused on that mentally or anything like that. I think that's all behind him. And the good thing for the Bucks is that they're starting to get back healthy. Like, we saw Julio score a touchdown last week, and you were in a situation where you had Julio, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin all in the field at the same time. The other thing I think that's important is they've seen this emergence from Rachaad White, and Leonard Fournette is all but lost his starting job at this point. So I think their Bucks are figuring it out. The offense is rolling, and we're going to see a steam. I don't even know, locomotive coming in with this Bucks team, and they're going to be ready to put it on the rest of the NFC.
Like I said, I think we're going to revisit this in a couple of weeks, and like I said, they were whatever they were, and I think in a couple of weeks we're going to blink, and they're going to be 10-5. They're going to be like a 2-game lead. They're going to continue to get more healthy, and they're going to. I think once he can really get chemistry, and he's concentrating on football now. And I think if he can keep building chemistry, and keep those 3 on the field, they'll figure out the running back situation. But if you're a defense and you're getting Julio, Mike Evans, and Godwin, and they're all actually really good to go and explosive, Tom Brady's going to figure out how to get one of them the football all the time. And I think we're going to be okay. I think Tampa Bay is going to be okay.
I said it on pregame and pigskin, and I'm trying to give it away to you guys now, but I want to make sure. It's only went down 200. I said the best Super Bowl odds. This was last Thursday. The best Super Bowl odds were the Bucks plus 1,900. You should put $100 on it at plus 1,900. It's down to plus 1,700 now. I'm telling you, if you look at the NFC playoff picture, I'm an Eagles fan. I want the Eagles to make the Super Bowl. But if you look at the NFC playoff picture, assuming they're going to win their division, let's just say they're the 3rd or 4th seed. The Eagles and Minnesota are 1 and 2, and then whoever wins the West will be 3 and 4 with the Buccaneers. You're looking at him playing Daniel Jones in Tampa, then traveling to play Kirk Cousins and Jalen Hurts or Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think the NFC champion.
Whoa, Tom Brady versus Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is your outlier, and Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think that San Francisco game is tough, and obviously I think traveling here in the middle of January, and I think we have to give Jalen Hurts credit facing
100%.
Facing a way different Jalen Hurts than you faced last year with a much better wide receiving core. That's a whole different game. I mean, we've said it a million times on this show for numerous reasons, numerous discussions. Like, do you really want to be the guy that wants to bet against Tom Brady, which is what you would have to do if you want to pick the Eagles or San Fran? Eventually, he's going to lose, But hey, again, listen. To your point, if I see the bracket laid out and I know at some point I want them to lose before he comes here. Like I don't want that dilemma. I don't want that dilemma. I don't.
Correct.
So
Eagles are 6-1, Niners are 8-1, Buccaneers are 17-1. What's the best value?
No, I 100% agree. I don't disagree with you for 1 second on that.
Okay, so what's your question? Because my next is kind of mid-season.
Talked about these two a lot. I'm just gonna, I don't know if it was an outlier performance or what it was, but Colt McCoy looked pretty good playing within Cliff's system on Sunday. I don't know. Is it Kyler or is it Cliff?
It's both.
I mean, I think you can.
The Rams are a dumpster fire, bro.
Yeah, and the Rams had their second string quarterback in. The Cardinals got a lot more possessions. I mean, I think it's a healthy mix of both. Now, granted, I think Colt's been in the league for a while. He's a vet. I don't think you have any issues of Colt going in, knowing the game plan, knowing what the other defense is throwing at him, especially because he's been in that Cardinal system now for a few seasons. So he's seen that Rams team multiple times. He knows they're going to throw at him. And like I said, Colt's a vet. He's going to do his homework. He's going to be prepared to go. His issue has been his talent. He just hasn't ever been a top 32 talent for him to be a starting quarterback.
RJ just burying Kevin David on the freaking message board.
So it's funny because RJ made like a RJ-like trade, and he like always defends it. It's hilarious. He's very smart. He's a very good fantasy football player. Very good fantasy football player. But he made an RJ-like trade where he traded like his entire bench for like a couple starters. That a 6-for-3 trade. Traded 9 guys in fantasy football. But he's making fun of Kevin because they go back and forth about it. Kevin's calling him a rat for making the trade. And
what I forgot I was going to ask.
It's okay. Here's my mid-season questions. Mid-season MVP. It's see, ISH's week go. It's easy. It's Jalen Hurts, right? But the Eagles aren't.
Honestly, he didn't. I don't think he played great Monday night, but he didn't play bad.
I agree,
and I still think
perception changes when they lose.
I get it. I still think it's easy. I still think it's Jalen Hurts.
Go ahead, Control.
I wouldn't have said, even last week before they lost, I wouldn't have said easy Jalen Hurts. I mean, I think he's definitely top 3, no doubt about it. But I don't know.
I think
that's the only really interesting question right now. I think it's wide open.
I think if it's not Jalen, I don't know if there's another answer outside of Mahomes.
It's Jalen Hurts, in my opinion. Mahomes is second. But here's the trade, because RJ said tell him the trade. I'm going to tell you the trade. And y'all tell me what you think.
All right.
He traded Jeff Wilson Jr., Mike Evans, Deontay Foreman, Alan Lazard, Cole Kmet, and Devin Duvernay. Got back the Cheetah, Ramondre Stevenson, Kareem Hunt, and Hayden Hurst.
It's a good trade. I endorse it, RJ.
RJ, yeah. I mean, if RJ was the one getting Cheetah and Stevenson back, then that's the side of that trade I'd want to be on. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I get it. Jeff Wilson played well. What RJ does is very smart, right? Jeff Wilson's gotten to Miami. He's got a couple good weeks under him. Deontay Foreman played Atlanta twice in 3 weeks, and he looks decent. So it's like, I'm going to trade him now before they play good football teams. And then
trade when the value's the highest.
And it's smart. It's just funny. He'll call me up. He'll be like, all right, so let's get you Jamar Chase on a winning team. I'm going to give you Alan Lazard. I'm like literally the conversation. Look at 2 stars. Alan Lazard, All
right, we got to go over this real quick because I put it in the chat earlier, and Cottrell knows about this because Cottrell's in the league. So somebody in the league is trying to get Austin Eckler off me. So okay. I proposed this earlier. I was giving him Eckler, Tom Brady, Keenan Allen, and I forget who the 4th person was. And I was getting back Tua, Jonathan Taylor, Lockett, and Godwin. And he didn't want to do it because he said he'd rather have JT than Eckler.
Well, hold on. Eckler and who else?
It was Eckler. He has Joe. To preface this, he has Tua is his backup quarterback because he has Joe Burrow, so he plays Burrow.
Doesn't matter.
So, I'm saying it was Tua, JT, Lockett, and Godwin for Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, Tom Brady. Christ, I have it. I can find it real quick. Where is my team? And
all right.
Oh, Adam Thielen. Sorry, there you go.
I mean, I think you're getting the better side of that. I think that you shouldn't do it. I think Eckler's better than Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to fall apart the rest of the year with more and more pieces that fall apart in Indianapolis.
It helps me better because I have holes other places. We
can't talk about Tua as his backup quarterback. It doesn't matter. Tua's value is Tua's value.
No, I agree. I really didn't want to trade Eckler, but that trade as a whole
intrigues you.
It intrigues me. It makes me better overall. But he didn't want to do it, and now he's it's Brandon, but now he's upset.
All right, let's get NFL pick'em. Let's get an NFL pick'em. Get Sherrell, Bill, me. I got to keep him as far away from me as possible because he's closing in on the standings. So Control, Bill, me.
That's not right.
Why isn't it?
You always say it's not right, bro. It's right.
I was 9-18 last week, and I went 2-1. The only game I lost was the Eagles game. Yeah, I had Tampa Bay, and
Tampa.
I had Tampa. Who the hell was my other win? God damn it! See, I gotta go back and check all these now. I'm shafting me out of points. I need every point I can get.
I think you and Gene agreed on
Tampa.
2 games.
Tampa and Philly. Philly was my loss.
I don't know what his other game was.
Yeah,
I don't remember what the other one was. I'm pretty sure I went back and listened to it.
It's because I picked against the Browns. I took Miami. They
you're right. You're right.
Yeah, you're damn right. I'm right.
Hey, all right. You know, I'll fix it. You
now Sally's 11-19, guys. Let's go.
God damn it. Put some respect
no more
on
fate, God.
My bad. Sheesh.
God, that's like a 400 winning percentage now.
All right, so I got 3 games this week. My first one is going to be the Bengals -4.5 at Pittsburgh. I think this game is going to be a gimme, to be honest. Pittsburgh they have TJ Watt back, but they're missing Minkah Fitzpatrick, and the Bengals have played them well as of late. And Kenny Pickett, key quarterback. I think the Bengals are getting ready for him, and I fully expect the Bengals to cover that 4.5 point spread. Second game I like the Giants at home -3 versus the Lions. Look, I know the Lions, they looked better last week. They beat a Justin Fields led Chicago team, but with the Giants at home, I think Brian Dable outcoaches them, and he has that Giants team ready to go, and they win by more than field goal. Then the last game I like the Raiders +2.5 at the Broncos. Derek Carr just gave this emotional speech after their loss last week, and I think this is a game where the players step up. I know we talked about Josh McDaniels and how bad he is, and he should be on the hot seat, but I think that Raiders team, I think they rally around each other, and they find a way to beat a Broncos team that's underperformed all season so far. So I like the Raiders to go out, win that game, but of course, I'll take the 2.5.
I will give Russell Wilson, he stopped his "Let's Ride." Did you see that? There's no more "Let's Ride" at the end of his press conference.
Let's go next. Me or you? Me?
Yeah, you. I'll go third all the time.
All right, I'm going to start with the game we already talked about a little bit. We actually talked about 2 of these games a little bit, but I'm going to go the Eagles -6.5 in Indy. I do truly believe, based on past experiences, I think Sirianni will get this team back on track. I think they'll be fired up again with Shaquille Leonard being out for the year again. Indy's losing their best defensive player. And I think the defense plays better. I think Jonathan Taylor might have some success. That being said, it's Matt Ryan, doesn't have the best weapons to throw to. I think Darius Slay can slow down Michael Pittman Jr. I think the Eagles I think the Eagles will definitely be able to run the ball against Indy. I think you'll see the play calling level out a little bit more. I actually think the Eagles go to Indy and put it on them. So I will take the Eagles minus 6.5. I'm going to go against Cottrell with my next pick. I saw this crazy stat that if the Broncos just scored 21 points in all their games, they would be like 8-1. I think they're starting to look a little better. I understand Derek Carr had his fiery speech. I think that cancels out with the owner of the team saying, we really don't believe in the coach. I just can't fire him because I can't afford to pay anybody else. I don't think that's the best message. And the best thing you can do if you have a struggling offense or struggling to move the ball is play the Raiders because they don't stop anybody. So I'll take Denver minus 2.5 at home at Mile High. My last game, Dallas at Minnesota. I think this ends up being the best game of the week. I went back and forth with this a couple times, and I decided to go with Minnesota plus 1.5 at home. I think coming off the big emotional victory of Buffalo, that's the part that scares me. But I think they're going home. It's another big game. It's going to be one of the national games. I think I just think they just beat Dallas. I've said this consistently for 4 years. Dak's not the guy, and he's just continuing to prove it. I think Tony Pollard's been playing great. CeeDee Lamb is turning into the absolute superstar that we all thought he was going to be, but Dak just doesn't make enough plays. I think Minnesota gets enough stops in that game. I'll take Minnesota at home plus 1.5. Sorry.
I will open up with a couple weird ones. I'll take the under 51 in Kansas City versus the LA Chargers. I don't think there's a chance that game goes over 51. I know everyone's thinking the fireworks coming back. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. You watch a lot of the Chiefs games recently, man. They are moving the ball 7-8 yards down the field. They're not moving the ball. They're not getting those quick scores that they used to. Guess what? The Chargers are doing the same thing. Both teams play bend but don't break defenses. And when you play bend but don't break defenses, that creates a lot of long drives. I think you'll see a lot of field goals in that one. Give me the under 51, which will probably get up to 52, 53 if you wait. So I would wait and get it right before game time. Give me the under 51 on Sunday Night Football. Second one, another weird one. I'll take the Rams plus 4.5 versus New Orleans. I think New Orleans stinks. And I know the Rams are a dumpster fire too, but I think Stafford will get out of concussion protocol. And I think the Rams win this football game outright. I don't even need the 4.5, but I'll take the 4.5 for good measure. Last game of the week. Love this game. I hate that I love this game because all the cockroaches are going to come out from underneath the closet and believing that the Dallas Cowboys are a Super Bowl winning team after they destroy the Minnesota Vikings. I think this game's not close. And I said it last week about Minnesota because they had the emotional high versus Washington, and then they went up to Buffalo and beat them. Coming off the emotional high of 2 road wins versus a team coming off a loss, a letdown game versus Green Bay. I think this is a really good position for Dallas. I think they're going to run the ball. I think they'll be effective. I think they'll turn the ball. I'll turn Kirk Cousins over multiple times. I like Dallas in this game, minus 1.5. And I will sprinkle Dallas minus 13 on the alternate line because I think this game is going to be a blowout. So they're my picks this week.
Some head-to-head action this week.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm always happy going head-to-head versus you, bro.
Mexican standoff.
I've won the last couple against you. Actually.
I know you have. I don't want to lie to you. We had 2 of the same last week. I'm like, I know I'm having a bad week. Let's get into some World Cup, man.
Let's go.
Excuse me. I'm going to be back. I'm going to turn my camera off. I'll be back in like, 10 minutes? And
me and Charles talk about this for the rest of the show.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. Let's pull up the World Cup brackets, and I'm going to tell you who's going to win each one because, there's nothing more I like than grass ping pong. So, all right. So let's look at the groups, right? I'll tell you who win each group. I'll tell you right now.
Well, you got to pick who's coming out of each group. The top 2 from each group come out.
All right. So Group A, I'm going to take Ecuador and Netherlands.
I have Netherlands winning the group, but I have red hot Senegal coming out in second place.
Gene, you're on to something. I got the Netherlands winning. I got Ecuador being that second team that comes out of Group A. You're cooking, Gene. I like
it's 1L
it.
for you. It's 1L for you guys already.
All right, so I'll lead us off every time because it'll be funny if I lead off because I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. So this way you guys can correct me afterwards, okay? In Group B, I have England winning the group, and I have the United States being second.
Same.
Gene, you are on fire here, man. That's 2 for 2.
Okay.
Got the same way.
Group C, don't cry for me. Argentina wins the group, and Mexico is second.
I have the same thing. Watch out for Poland there. Poland, there's a shot. Poland sneaks out of that group.
There you go.
I'm a Polak, so I'll take it.
No, those
Jeez, we flying the Polish flag on the third day of World Cup.
They're very tricky, man. Poland, they can score. But with that said, I have Argentina, Mexico also coming out of Group C.
I will tell you that Argentina probably wins all 3 games. Mexico-Poland game will decide who comes out of that group. Mexico, more skilled team, have battled a lot of injuries. Poland, tough as nails, like to score. They don't play defense real well. That will be an exciting game.
All right, so Group D, I don't even know who's good here, but I think France won the last World Cup.
That is correct.
I'll go France winning it and Denmark second.
Right teams. I'm going to go different order. I think Denmark sneaks out of Group D win. France advances out of the 2-hole.
I think France is too deep. I think this is a favorable draw for France. I think
draw for France.
I think France wins it, and that's going to be that. And then I got Denmark as a second team. I think Denmark.
I'm not doing bad for this kicky ball.
I don't love Denmark, but I think those two. I don't think there's any shot that the Australia or Tanzania comes out of Group D.
The Tanzania is Tunisia.
Tunisia
is debatably the worst team in this World Cup. So yeah, this is a great draw for France, and they're defending champs, so they should have. I'm fine with it.
Okay. For Group E, I got upset coming.
Uh-oh.
Give me Spain winning the group and Costa Rica second. No Germany.
Ooh. That's blasphemous, bro. I got Germany winning the group. I have Spain coming out as well. I will tell you, Costa Rica is they might be the odds-on favorite to finish last in that group.
Listen, Costa Rica. It's going to be just like it was with what were the guys doing the crazy stuff? What was that? Iceland. It's Iceland all over again.
Oh my God!
I'll give you some World Cup backlash here.
I do love that you know about the Iceland Cinderella run though.
Yeah,
I'm back. I'm back with you, Bill. Gene, you had me at the first 4 groups, but Germany is going to win Group E, and I got Spain as number 2. And I will say, I mean, we're going to get more into it once, as we go along here, but Spain can 100% win Group E. I just like what I've seen from Germany. Germany has had this team that's really been getting older, but it wasn't the Euro Cup. The last tournament before the Euro Cup, they let all their young guys play, and they have a really good team. You mix those in with the vets that have been there, I think Germany is going to be a tough out for everybody.
I give Germany a slight edge over Spain. Spain is like one tournament behind what Germany already did, is in turning their side over and really getting the youth in and turning their club over. I will tell you this: my way too early 2026 World Cup prediction will be Spain to win. See if we revisit that 4 years from now, but I think Spain's a cycle away still.
Group F is easy. Easiest one on the bracket for me.
Ooh,
I got Belgium winning the group, and I got the Croatian Sensations finishing second.
I have Belgium winning the group. I have Croatia squeaking out. Not so fast, my friend, on the easy picks. Canada, a lot better than people think they are. Canada-Croatia game could be very interesting.
Canada?
Look, group 4 has a couple of my favorite players in the game in it, and those 2 players, one plays for Belgium, one plays for Croatia. Absolutely.
Is Kevin De Bruyne one of them?
No.
Ooh, why? Because he's white? Whatever.
Come on, man. Lukaku, man, for Belgium, and Luka Modric for Croatia.
Luka's been playing soccer for 40 years. I swear to God, I was watching that dude
Absolutely,
like the
he
80s.
has. But I mean, he's a great captain for that team. I think those are the two most like well-rounded teams in that group. Canada, I mean, I think that they can give one of those a scare, but I think Belgium and Croatia 1-2 come out of Group F.
Can I just pick one?
Joseph Jeffers, facts.
Can I just pick one from Group G?
Why?
I don't know why you do that.
Because I don't. You could just flip. All right, so I'll go Brazil winning the group because Brazil is the best team in the world, and they're gonna win the whole thing. And I'll just say that now. And then I'll go Cameroon.
You picked the one team that has no shot of getting it. I love you.
Oh man,
Cameroon, baby.
I got Brazil obviously winning the group, and I'm going to go with Switzerland to advance as well. I like Switzerland's defense and their solid ball play. Play very sound football. Not going to be. You have to beat Switzerland to get them out, and I think with the emotional stuff they got going on, I'm going Switzerland to advance.
Bada bing, bada boom, Bill. You hit it on the head. I got Brazil 1. I got Switzerland 2. I think that one is pretty easy for me as well.
Okay.
This one's easy.
The last one, I got Portugal winning the group, and I got Uruguay edging out Ghana for the second spot.
Right teams, wrong order. I got Uruguay winning Group H, Portugal coming out of second place.
Yes, sir, Bill. You got
yes,
it
sir.
again. Uruguay winning Group H, Portugal coming in second. Uruguay is a team. I mean, they have like Luis Suarez on that team, but team that plays well together. Every time there's a tournament like this, Uruguay finds a way to pull it out. Portugal, they got Ronaldo. They're not that good of a team. When you got Ronaldo, you get out of a group that has Ghana and South Korea, but you're not beating Uruguay like that.
Nope.
So what am I doing here? I'm picking one from the bottom and one from the top, right?
Well, Final Four.
Final Four?
Oh, I mean, Gene, you didn't. If you're not ready, just give us your champion. Me and Bill will go over our Final Four.
No, I'll give my Final Four. I got you. Brazil, Belgium, Argentina, and
that can all happen so far.
Yes.
Brazil, Belgium, Argentina, and England.
Guess what, Gene?
What?
That's my Final Four.
Who knows about ping pong on grass? Who knows about ping pong on grass?
I got Brazil versus Argentina in the one semi. Little Neymar versus Messi action.
Yeah, those guys.
The one thing I think to not gloss over here is this is going to be it. You know, there's always guys on Team Messi. There's guys Team Ronaldo. I've always been a Ronaldo guy. This is going to be their last World Cup. It's going to be the last time you see these guys on a big stage like this. So it's going to be kind of cool, but you know, it's also going to be kind of sad. I know Pele was great. At the end of the day, I think Messi and Ronaldo are both better than him. I think they're the best two soccer players to ever play the sport. And this is going to be their farewell. So I got Messi making a run, getting to the semifinal. Out of that semifinal, though, I have Brazil advancing to the final. On the other side, I have Belgium versus England. Funny thing about Belgium is, Cottrell already mentioned it a little bit earlier with Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne, not so much him, but there's a couple other older guys on that team. Their country has named this this team the Golden Generation. It's the best Belgium team they've ever had for like the last 10 years. It's been made up consistently of the same 18 to 20 guys. They're all aging out though. Belgium's going to have to go through a younger cycle here in the next Euro World Cup. They're going to take a big dip, but I think they have one last run in them. I really do. They have quality all over the field in every position. I think they make a run, and I think they're going to play England, who I think people are down on all of a sudden after up until the last 6 months, the last 2 years, England's had a great 2 years. Talent, they've been in great form. They've struggled a little bit the last 6 months. I think they figure it out. They have too much talent not to. So my other semifinal is Belgium versus England. I have Belgium advancing to the final.
Oh, I got Brazil over Belgium too. That's what I got. Brazil over Belgium.
Need Cottrell's Final Four first.
I'm giving you my final. Brazil wins it.
Gene's all into it now. I can't wait to
Neymar.
I got my Final Four here. The one thing I do want to just gloss over real quick, because the U.S. are in it. I agree with Justin Jeffers. He said that, Group H and Group B are the groups of death. I think Group B is the hardest group out there right now.
Hardest group, always.
Wales is 100% a team that can come out of Group B, but I think if they can make it out of this and get to the group of 16, I think most likely they'd be going up against the Netherlands, and I think that's a matchup that they can win to make it to the round of 8. And at that point, you got to go up against one of the big guns, and I think that's where the buck hits the road. But I think for a team that hasn't been in the World Cup in forever, I know it's not literally been forever, but it feels like it here when you miss a World Cup. I think this will be a good run for them. But with that said, 4 teams I got making to the Final Four. I got France instead of England, and then the other 3, I agree with you guys: Belgium, Brazil, and Argentina. I think that France and England is going to be a hell of a game, but I got France edging out England in that one. And then on the other side, I got Brazil edging out Argentina. It's no secret that Messi does not play well once the games get tight in international play. And I think that happens again here. Brazil, the last World Cup, they look great. Neymar had his injury and they lost like 7-1, 8-1. So I think, this Brazil team, as long as they're healthy and they can play with their guys throughout the entire tournament, I think they're going to be there at the end. We're going to get Brazil versus France, but I got France to repeat. These Frenchmen, they play well together all the time, and I think they have the best player in the world, Kylian Mbappe, and I got France to win it. I know Mbappe's having his issues with PSG. He doesn't want to be there. He wants to switch teams. None of that matters right now. World Cup, playing for your country. I think those guys get it done. Give me France over Brazil to win it all.
Joseph Jefferson.
Not with Conte out, bro. But not with Conte out. It's not happening, bro.
Such an ass. He's not wrong though. Joseph Jefferson is feeding him all this stuff on the message board. My biggest issue with France is obviously not Mbappe. For me, he's the best player in the world right now. They do have injury concerns elsewhere. They got a lot of drama going on behind the scenes with other things. And it's just nobody ever repeats the World Cup either. It's so hard to do. I'm just going with history on my side here and saying France doesn't win it.
Look, they got my guys though. Griezmann's still there. Giroud's old ass is there. They're gonna be ready to go.
Yeah, they're like 40, bro. It's great. France is definitely. If I had to take out either Belgium or England, it would be for France. That being said, I'm gonna go one better for you. What you mentioned, I think U.S. shocks the world and gets to the final 8. I think they beat Netherlands. Everybody's extremely high on the Netherlands right now because they've had a good last 3 or 4 months. That team is still very young, and they go through spells. They go through spells where I think they can be gotten. I think if the U.S. can get into that game and not give up an early goal, I absolutely think the U.S. can beat the Netherlands, get to the final 8. So I'm going to predict it. I think the U.S. beats the Netherlands 2-1, late game winner, craziness. But I have a Belgium versus Brazil final, and I'm going to go with Brazil. I think they're just the most talented team here. They're in form. They have no injury concerns as of right now. And I think Neymar gets his World Cup, and I'm going to go with Brazil.
You guys
Joseph Jeffers,
soccer, bro.
I'm interested to hear who do you have for your final? Because clearly you're super into it. I know you'll be locked in. So I'm curious to see who you got for your
who we
final.
got, Jeffers? Who we got?
And how far you think US is going,
bro.
Give us both.
I hope the U.S. makes it far for our sake, because that's the moment that U.S. gets eliminated, I stop caring, and I watch like the big games, but I won't watch any of the games I'll watch the Final Four and the finals.
Give me Christian versus Messi in that round of 8 game, man. Sign me up.
Fireworks.
I'm with it. Listen,
here's what's going to annoy me about this though. If that happens somehow, and God forbid we beat Argentina somehow, all these fake ass soccer fans are going to come out of nowhere, where it's going to be real trendy to start watching the World Cup and like vote for the U.S. I'm going to be beating them off with a bat on social media.
But bro, why? That's what the United States needs. They need
they need is a better fan base.
The United States makes a run, you're going to grow the sport to more people watching the sport. Who cares if they're fake fans? Like, bro, it's like the people online be like, well, you weren't a Phillies fan in June or July. Dude, that doesn't matter. I don't care. Watch the games. You're supporting the team. You're going there. You're spending money.
With local teams, I disagree with you more. If you want to be a Phillies fan, then you got to be a Phillies fan when they suck. Like I've gone through a gazillion years of my lifetime when the Phillies have sucked, and I still sit there and watch 105 games a year. So yeah, like when you don't watch them all year, and then it's cool to like try to get tickets with your friends, and now you're a Phillies fan, and like you're like, oh yeah, like I love JT. Like no, see, I don't have time for that. Not for local teams. You're a Philly fan or you're not. Like one or don't jump on the bandwagon when it's trendy and cool to try to go to playoff games because it's the hottest ticket in town. I hate that shit.
I mean, listen, my whole point is this. The more money they spend on merch, the more money they spend on tickets, the more money they spend on all the different stuff that has to do with the Phillies, the more money the Philadelphia Phillies can spend to bring in players. And as being a Phillies fan, I don't really give a shit if you're a fair weather fan. I'm not the person on Facebook being like, oh, you didn't really think they could win in July. I didn't think they could win in July. I didn't mean I didn't stop watching them. I watched them all year. Doesn't matter.
No, but you're a lifelong Phillies fan, though.
Yeah, but you don't have to believe they're going to win the World Series every
year. You do realize I'm talking about people that like didn't watch a game from like April to like August, right?
No, I get it. But
like,
my response
those are people
to that
talking
would
about.
But my response to that would be, I'm glad that they're watching and spending money, because the more money they spend, the better the team gets. Trey Turner doesn't come here if the Phillies don't make the World Series run.
Okay, but that's nothing to do with the fans.
It does. The more money the fans spend on merchandise, the more money.
Bro, the diehard Phillies fans are going to spend money on the merchandise. If the fair weather fans didn't buy the tickets, all they would go to the people that follow them all year that were trying to get them anyway.
Not the tickets that I'm talking about. It's the merchandise that is spent from all these idiots that know nothing about the Phillies at all, that just picked it up. Oh, I need a hat. I need a division NLDS hat or NLCS hat or something like that. Those guys are spending money that are going into Philly's pocket. That in turn, I got to give it to the team. They're putting the money back into the team. I love that. So all the respect in the world. And I don't care if you're fair weather. Be fair weather. Come on for the ride. I'm good with it. Just don't claim to be like a diehard fan and say some dumb shit in front of me, because I'm going to correct you on it. Like, what's DHK stand for? Home Run King? No, Harry Callis. Who? The announcer guy, right? Oh, yeah. Harry Callis.
All right, but at that point, we're talking about the same person.
100%. But right. I'm still glad that they're spending money, because I want the Phillies to be able to spend more money.
Getting it back to soccer here. I'm gonna say we're gonna for sure have people that hop on the bandwagon. But like Gene said, I'm personally good with it. That's how I got into it. 2012, I believe it was when I really got into it. And
that Clint Dempsey.
Yeah, Clint Dempsey goal like a minute into the game.
No, not 2012. It was 2014 when we were facing. That was the U.S. Mexico game.
It was 2014. Yeah,
2014 USA Mexico game. That's what got me into it. So you gotta start somewhere. So if the U.S. going to run, and
but here's the difference. You've become a soccer fan now, though.
I have.
Okay, so you follow soccer now. My point is, you'll have people that'll do this. They'll make a run, and they won't watch a game for 4 years. It's the same thing. Those are people
Agreed.
like.
All right. It's 9:06. We got to move on. We got to get into the Mount Rushmores. Let's get into them. And then you got to be kidding me. We're going to 9:30 tonight, boys. It is what it is. Let's pull them up, brother. Let's pull them up. Oh, we got Vegas to start. Vegas to start. Hey, listen. Say what you want about Floyd. Say what you want about Floyd. If he's not the greatest boxer ever, he's the greatest boxer you've seen box ever. Floyd Mayweather, Money Mayweather, Pretty Boy Floyd. Whatever, how he came up as Pretty Boy Floyd, and then he switched to Money Mayweather. My favorite tennis player of all time, the return specialist himself. Every Sunday it was Pete versus Andre Agassi, and I was always rooting for Agassi.
Same.
I'll take Agassi. Asia from the LA Aces, Los Angeles Aces,
Las Vegas,
whatever.
Los Angeles, the Sparks.
Don't let Gene fool you. He's a WNBA aficionado.
I am, but I forgot Asia Wilson, right?
Yes, Asia Wilson.
I don't, bro. It perturbs me because I know who she is, and I know you do play, but I watch way too much WNBA, more at WNBA than most people do. And by the way, sidebar. Never mind. I'm not gonna get off that topic today.
What's the sidebar? I mean, you can't just leave it out there, like floating out there like that.
My point is, I feel like if all the people that were arguing for better pay in the WNBA actually supported the WNBA and watched it, that you would see it's actually a good product. But long story short,
you're going the Bill Burr method here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. He's not wrong.
We got one of the Bush brothers that makes left turns. Which one's that, Bill?
That's
the better one. Kyle.
Got it. I don't know.
So Kyle's got 2 championships. Kurt's got 1. Kurt's older. Kyle, I don't know if Kyle's necessarily a better driver. Kyle was put in a better position. Kurt went through some crap in the middle of his career where he went crazy. But they're both from Vegas. They're both Hall of Fame drivers. Same thing with Gene. Andre was always my guy. Always has been, always will be. Grew up, had his shoes. Everybody tried to play like him. Andre's my guy forever. If you followed his career at all, he fell off the map, was doing like crystal meth, like came all the way back. Like it's just a wild story. And now he married Steffi Graf, who's one of the best female players ever. And does a ton of charity work for kids, has his own school in Vegas for disadvantaged youth. Turned his life around and turned out to be a really great guy. So Andre's my guy. Floyd, I can't stand. Shitty human being, great boxer. That's why he's on your screen right now. So there's no doubting how good he is as a boxer.
And then I'll give Asia her flowers just because she's coming off of MVP and she's also coming off a WNBA championship. Becky Harmon in her first year, leaving the Spurs and going to the Aces, she got them a ring. Asia's a special player. I mean, we knew this coming out that she was gonna blossom into this. She was number 1 pick, so you knew she was gonna be special in WNBA. But winning MVP, twice already, having a WNBA championship under her belt, she's helped put that Vegas Aces team on the map, and she 100% belongs up here with guys that have won championships. Floyd Mayweather, Gene, I think you put it perfectly. I think he's the greatest boxer of all time, and I'm not even a big Floyd fan, but 49-0 is, I mean, that's a number that it does have some fluff on it, but it's a number you got to respect. And Agassi, great tennis player. Bush has 2 championships. Vegas has got a good list for them to not have, a major team in the market.
Well, they have 2 now, but they just haven't been there long enough to where
correct
we're gonna put anybody on there.
Correct.
And they're probably gonna get a 3rd soon. So
who are they going against? Who's Vegas going against?
I don't know.
Tennessee.
Oh, Vegas versus Tennessee. Yo, listen. Let me introduce the greatest women's basketball coach of all time. I don't care what you say. You can say whatever. You put your Geno shit away. Pat Summitt.
I don't like Geno, but I'm just.
Pat Summitt is a leader of women, and some of the greatest college basketball teams of all time. Tennessee Volunteers. Pat Summitt is just. She's the GOAT. Nothing. I will not say a bad word about Mrs. Summitt. Pat Summitt is the great. And listen, I put her fourth among any college basketball coach of all time, behind just 3 in NCAA basketball. So call it like it is. You got Steve McNair, MVP, Air McNair, Houston Oilers over to Tennessee. He was a big proponent. Where's Joseph Jeffers at, man? I need Joseph Jeffers commenting on this because this is his city, and I'm tagging him. Joseph Jeffers, get your butt back in the chat.
There he is. He's here.
My man. Yeah, she'd probably still be coaching if she stayed healthy. I agree. And then you got Ace. You got Candace Parker. My favorite WNBA player of all time. Tennessee Volunteer through and through. How many championships she get in Tennessee? Was that 3? Did she get 3
2.
cut down in that? 2.
2.
I was hoping it was 3 because I love Candace.
Back to back.
Candace.
That was. I mean, for lack of a better terms, like that was kind of the end of.
Jeffers just said 3. I thought it was 3.
I thought it was.
I thought she won her freshman year, or junior, or senior.
That was
I
like
trust
right.
Joseph Jeffers.
I do too.
I mean, you would know
Tennessee.
So say you know better than me.
I mean, the Candace Parker, Pat Summitt era, Tennessee Volunteers. I said I thought it was 3 and 4 years. So did I, Joe.
2 times, 07, 08.
Oh.
There you go.
Who won 05? Gino? Dirtball?
Probably.
And then
there was a stretch where he had Diana and Sue and all them. So
yep.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk about that now, like you say there's 2 names, like, and you're like, oh, you had them on the same college team. Like, good Lord.
And then Pique Arini.
Peke. God damn it. He's Finnish. Peke Rene. Don't disrespect
excellent goaltender for the Nashville Predators. This is a solid list right here. We have to vote between these 2?
We do.
Oh man.
So I'm gonna agree with Gene in this aspect. Like, obviously, like when I became aware of women's college basketball, obviously when I was younger, Pat Summitt was the absolute queen of college football or college basketball. Tennessee was the program. People forget there was a UConn before UConn, and it was Tennessee. She was great. She was hard on her players. They did a 30 for 30 on her. I don't know if you guys watched it, but they did it a couple years ago, right after she passed away, actually. And I think people had a misconception of who she was because they always saw her yelling and screaming and everything. But you hear the stories of how she was off the court with all her female players. She was great. She's a legend. And Gene hit that right on the head. Steve McNair, a good guy, good quarterback, led a bunch of really good Tennessee Titans teams for a while. Again, unfortunately, this is almost the death group, but tragically got killed, cut his career short. Definitely had a couple good years left. Case we already talked about. I mean, you could argue, outside of Taurasi and Bird, she's probably the GOAT. She won a championship in the WNBA, right?
Yeah, she won multiple. I went to
LA
Sparks, Chicago's.
LA, that's what I thought. I wasn't
with LA and Chicago.
Yeah. So I mean, again, she's that's right. They did win that
technically.
Top 3 or 4.
She won 2 with LA, right? Didn't she win 2 with the Sparks and then 1 with Chicago?
I know she won 1 with Chicago in 21. And I know she won with the Sparks too. I just don't know how many.
Yeah,
I think it's 2.
Again, you can make an argument she's right up there with Diana Sue. Honestly, you really could.
100%.
And then Peke Rene. If you're a hockey guy he made an average team very good for about a 6 or 7 year stretch. He was debatably the best goalie in the world for a while. He's had success on the international level as well with Finland. Dude's a stud, just retired. He'll probably go in the Hall of Fame. I think he's eligible next year. Next year or the year after, he'll be first ballot. He'll go right in. This is a tough group right here. It's a tough group.
I got to go to Gino's comments.
Who's?
Gino Oriema's comments about Pat Summitt just when he passed her last year, 2021. He said, I wish he was still coaching. I wish he made it a lot harder for me to pass her. It's a tragedy that she isn't still coaching.
The crazy thing was they started out as pretty friendly, and then when Gino kind of got UConn up and running and started kind of getting the better of her sometimes. Yeah, they were. And it actually got like for a couple of years, it got like heated to the point where they weren't really like friends anymore. And then, it was that 30 for 30, Gino's on there and they talk how like after she retired, they mended the fence, and he was glad they did, obviously for obvious reasons. But she took no shit, man. Like that, like no, I don't think people realize how big, because it wasn't as mainstream back then as it even is now. The Tennessee UConn rivalry was a real thing, like a real, it was heated. I mean, you watch highlights of those games, they're both yelling at each other. Like, it was fun.
All right, where are we going here?
This is easy for me.
Ain't easy for me. I know where you're going to.
It's not easy. Easy isn't the word, but Bill, I feel like I know where you're going as well, but I'm going with Vegas here. I got Vegas slightly.
Yo, Bill, I'll tell you right now, you give me the opportunity to do it, I'm doing it. So you better make a comment now, because you give me the opportunity to do it, I think I'm gonna do it.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going Tennessee. So I think the
opportunity to do it.
I think I mean, that's what you wanted. So I think the overall greatness of Tennessee is better than Vegas. I think you have Floyd, who is arguably the best boxer ever. But that's it for that list. I'm taking my personal feelings. I think Agassi's amazing. He's my favorite player of all time. You're not going to argue he's the best tennis player of all time. I don't like Kyle Busch, but I think he's great. I'm actually a fan of his brother, Kurt. But again, you're not going to argue that Kyle's not in the discussion for greatest of all time. And either is
A'ja Wilson.
Just because I want to talk about it for another show with my man Joseph Jeffers, I'm going to the Vols.
Yes, sir.
Tennessee. I'm going Pat Summitt, Ace Parker, Steve, Aaron McNair, and Peaky Blinders. Peke Rene. I'm kidding. I swear to God, I'm kidding about this one. But let's go to the next one.
While Joseph Jeffers is still here, now that they won, we got that out of the way. Like, we had the big discussion. I just want his opinion. If you were to make that list, do you think McNair is better or Eddie George? Just honest opinion, since you're a big Tennessee fan. I'm glad you're on the board.
And Pat Summitt or Gino Oriema? Well, whatever Joseph Jeffers says, we'll go by that. Got it.
I'm taking Gino. Gino's got 11 of those things.
Taking Pat Summitt.
I like Pat Summitt better. I can't stand Gino Oriema. Gino Oriema is the better coach, though. I'll put it this way. He's the more successful coach. I'll put it that way.
Oh, we got Tampa Bay. Bay. You start a list off with Warren Sapp, baby. Warren Sapp, underrated defensive tackle. Then you got the Lightning Twins in the middle. You got Martin St. Louis and Vincent Lecavalier. They're both French, right? French Canadian, 100%.
Wait, who are you
asking the wrong one?
What do you Who do you think those people are?
That's St. Louis and Stamkos.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Vincent Lecavalier.
So I did, and I messed it up. I knew.
All right. You're good. You're good.
And then you got Derek Brooks. Who's an absolute stud also. So you got 2 Buccaneers, 2 Lightning. It's a solid list. I don't think it's going to beat anyone, but it's a solid list of nice players.
Hold your horses. Maybe.
So I mean, I'll go with Gene on this one as well. I think Warren Sapp's a little underrated. Steven Stamkos is a stud. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's still playing. He's won 2 cups already. Martin St. Louis, not really on Stamkos's level. Maybe he played on those great Tampa teams with Vincent Lecavalier. But I don't think overall he was as good as player. Derek Brooks, however, you could argue is a top 5 or 6 linebacker of all time. He's underrated as well. Me and Gene especially, like we watched football during Derek Brooks' prime. He was an animal. Dude's a stud. If Ray Lewis wasn't in the league back then, he was the best linebacker in the league. People forget that. It's I don't want to say it's underwhelming. I think it's better than it is at first glance when you look at it. I think it's a solid group. They hurt. Yeah. They obviously don't have a basketball team. The baseball team really hasn't had anybody, I think, legendary to help out there. And then obviously we can't use Tom.
Longoria on the list.
They just trade him away though. Tampa Bay just gets rid of them all.
Exactly.
I mean, I think you probably could have put Longoria on the list over St. Louis. Maybe you could make an argument for that. I probably would have entertained that.
Man. Marty St. Louis,
bro. Evan Longoria was the best third baseman in the American League for like a 4 or 5 year run, dude, and he was both ways, like offensively and defensively. You look at him in his peak before he got hurt and before they traded him, he was very good.
I think
Tampa Bay is going to get bludgeoned.
I was going to say, I think Longoria. A lot of our list, they have guys that are going to the Hall of Fame. And when it's all said and done with a guy like Evan Longoria, maybe he gets in eventually. No. There isn't a no doubt about him. And that's how most of our Mount Rushmore list are. You have guys that are in the Hall of Fame or at least right there with it. So I'm with Gene on this one. I think Longoria misses the cut here. So, but with that said, I think Tampa has a solid group here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Look, show them the next group. Control. Show them the next group. You want to talk about the solid group?
I'm a casual hockey guy. Stamkos is my guy. And Warren Sapp, another one of my guys. So maybe it's just my personal bias stepping in here, but
this Kansas City list is so good that the third best tight end ever to play the game isn't on the list.
I hear you.
That's how good it is.
Yeah. So you've Tony 1.
Tony 1.
And who's 2 for you?
I have Tony Gronk, Kelsey, Gates. I think Kelsey just passed Gates. But I've really actually put some ridiculous thought into that.
Okay. I mean, it's become a tough list over the last 10 years.
100%.
I mean,
Gonzalez has great tight end ever played a game.
Gonzalez has the numbers. Gronk. I could listen to an argument for Gronk being 1, but I agree with you, Gene. I got Tony 1, Gronk 2.
I think Gronk plays a full career and doesn't stop and isn't plagued with so many injuries that he
was. I say doesn't have the injuries. Yeah, I think Gronk could have easily been number
1. So you got Tony Gonzalez, Derek Thomas, George Brett. I was going to do it in order. Tony Gonzalez, George Brett, Derek Thomas, and Len Dawson. I mean, this list is stud-like list. George Brett, I don't think people realize how good George Brett was. George Brett was a stud. Best Royal of all time, not close.
Not close. Wide margin. Wide margin. Better top 10 defensive third baseman of all time. People don't realize that. A lot of people remember George Brett towards the end when he was still a great hitter, but he played first base. Beginning of George Brett's career, he was a great third baseman. Hall of Fame guy. Most people know George Brett because of the pine tar incident, which is hysterical to this day every time I watch it. Dude could hit, man. Dude was a left-handed hitter. He could rake. Was one of the best players in the game for a good 10, 12-year stretch. Just played on a bunch of bad Kansas City Royals teams. Derek Thomas was an absolute beast. his life unfortunately cut short as well. This is like a depressing night for Mount Rushmore.
Facts.
Jesus. Tony Gonzalez, we already know, great guy between Atlanta and Kansas City. Best tight end of all time. Len Dawson for a long time was the best Chief ever.
Yeah, it's tough to. The crazy part is you found a picture of Len Dawson without a cigarette in his mouth, which is really tough to find.
That is the famous shot.
But Len Dawson is career leader in every passing statistical stat there is for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Patrick Mahomes is going to pass all those. And like in 5 years from now, you're probably going to pass from Len Dawson right to Patrick Mahomes, and you'll just remove Len and add Patrick, and it'll be a Chiefs quarterback. But as of right now, Len Dawson's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Derek Thomas, a Hall of Fame linebacker or edge rusher, however you want to put it. George Brett's a Hall of Fame baseball player, and Tony Gonzalez is the best tight end ever. I like Kansas City in this list. I don't think it's that close. But listen, I'm willing to hear arguments, but I really like this KC list.
There's no argument.
No, I'm gonna give KC their love. I got KC winning. Obviously, I think this is gonna be a easy sweep for us. You know, Len brought the Chiefs their first Super Bowl franchise history.
Yep.
Derek was monster. You know, who knows where his numbers end up if that car accident doesn't happen. This Mount Rushmore it's quietly a great one. I think
this is a sleeper. This is a sleeper. Nobody wants to see Kansas City in the first round. Yep.
It's like an 8 seed Wichita State team. It's like an 8 seed Wichita State team, man.
The funny thing about George Brett too, that a lot of people don't really realize, like with baseball players, when I look at their batting average, I remove their first and their last year. Their first year is their rookie year. Their last year, they're normally ready to hang it up. And with George Brett, what?
Yep. I said, yeah, because usually their last year they played one season too long.
And with George Brett, if you remove those two, he's probably a 330 hitter, 320 hitter for his career. He was a 305 hitter in his worst 2 years by far, where his rookie year, and then his second to last year and his last year were his second and third. And he played too long. It is what it is. The guy played for like 20 years. First baseman, third baseman. I mean, he was third baseman and moved to first base. But George Brett, absolute stud. I think he's very underrated because he played in Kansas City. And I think this is just an underrated list as a whole. So I'll take Kansas City here. Kansas City, Tennessee would be a nice matchup. But I'm glad we didn't do that because I think they're the best two here. But, yeah.
So we're all agreeing Kansas City's winning here.
Yeah. Yes, Kansas City swept the board, and we get a bracket next week. So
we get a bracket. How are we seeding them? Or are we just going to do it random?
I say we put them all out there this week, and we talk about it and seed them.
I agree. I think we should seed them.
Okay.
Or if we don't,
I'm on board with that.
Depending on where the matchups fall, if we could break it down like region, like East Coast, West Coast kind of thing, or South, North, whatever.
I don't know if we're going to have way too many East for that. I think there's a lot of East Coast winners.
I think we lay it out, and if we can do it somewhat like we did, like when we did like the sports movies, like if we can do it by region, like East, South, Midwest, and West.
No, I don't think we'll be able to. I don't think we'll be able to do it like that. But I mean, like if we go 1 through 8 East and then 1 through 8 West, I don't think we'd be able to do 1 through 4 just because we're going to get some loaded matchups there. And
so there's 16 total winners.
Yes, we got 16.
I feel like there was more, but all right.
I think
16 total winners. And I know you have New York, you have Boston, Philadelphia, LA2 is I think LA2 is the number 1 overall seed. If I'm just being honest, it's just insane matchups.
Yeah, it'll definitely be fun.
It'll be nice to see everything all laid out now too. So that'll be fun.
Let's get in. You got to be kidding me. And I already know what I'm using for mine. I want to go first this week if you guys are good with that.
I'm all good with it.
All right.
So
ready.
Must be a good one.
You got to be kidding me is Freddie Henderson. Okay. Let me kind of give you guys a little bit of a back. And he's not in here. He's at church. Conveniently, he's getting called out. He's not in here. It's fine. I love Freddie, man. Freddie is hilarious to me. He's funny. When I met Freddie, when we first started talking, he was all Rams fan, Dodgers fan, Lakers fan, Sound like he was an LA fan, right? He's from Texas. So he's bragging about the Rams Super Bowl and the Lakers prestige and how great the Lakers are and Dodgers and they're the best team in baseball. And those were his teams. He's bragging to me about a Rams Super Bowl. When was the last time your team won a Super Bowl? All that, okay? The Rams fell apart this year. He made a bet with me at the beginning of the season that the Rams would finish better than the Eagles. We bet $100 on it. And I'm not worried about the $100. What I am worried about is later on down the line, as the Rams kept losing games, he announced on Facebook that he is now a New York Giants fan and said, I've been a Giants fan forever. Ask Key. She knew me when I was a Giants fan years ago. And I'm a Giants fan. And I asked him 3 nights ago, I said, are you a Giants fan or are you a Rams fan? Because don't go claiming that Rams Super Bowl if you're a Rams fan. He goes, I'm a Giants fan. I'm a Giants fan. Hasn't said a word about the Eagles all year. Becomes a Giants fan recently. I'm talking about 2 weeks ago when the Giants are doing well. Monday night, this man would not stop in the group chat about the Eagles being frauds and the Eagles stink and rooting for the Commanders. And every time the Eagles would look like they were going to come back, oh, it's just the Commanders. What are you excited for? Talking all this smack about the Eagles when his Rams are 3-6. I'm confused. You became a Giants fan 2 weeks ago. That is the definition of a front runner. You are literally hopping bandwagons. The Giants, if your Giants were your team, they stunk and you abandoned them and then hopped on to the Rams bandwagon and rooted for them and celebrated a Super Bowl just last year with the Rams. Freddie, you're a fraud of a football fan. You're a Fakers fan. You're a LeBron James fan. Another $100 bet he has with me is the Lakers are going to finish better than the Clippers. So I'm going to take that $200. I'm going to take it right to the damn bank because the Clippers and the Eagles are going to finish better than the Lakers and the Rams. And I'll even, if you want, we can triple down and your new team, the New York Giants, we can make another $100 bet that the Eagles finish better than they do. So for this week, I'm going to give it to the fraudulent fan, Freddie Henderson.
Come on, you got to be kidding me.
That is funny. I did see him announce. I saw him announce his switch of fandom from the Rams to the Giants. That was a big announcement for him. So that is funny. That's very funny. So
Tiny said, I bet you don't get your money. Tiny knows these frauds. She sees them a mile away.
So I get, am I next here? I mean,
That's her.
Yeah, you're up.
All right. This is unfamiliar territory for me, going second here, but here we go. My You Gotta Be Kidding Me this week is Kevin Durant. For you that don't know,
Great.
Kevin Durant, he had a lot to say in his interview about Brooklyn's recent struggles. The funniest part about it is their past 4 games, they've been 3-1. So I don't know what he's so upset about, but for those that missed it, his quotes were, when we're all playing like shit, you know the person they're going to look at. That's why I requested a trade. And that he said that in response when he was asked about, why did he request a trade and why did he want out over the summer? And then he talked about the Nets' expectations so far this season. And he said, look at our starting lineup. Edmund Sumner, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, Nick Claxton, and me. It's not disrespect, but what are you expecting from that group? You expect us to win because I'm out there. If that's not the most conceited statement you could put out there, it's truly unbelievable. And Kevin Durant, you're supposed to be this superstar. You're supposed to be the bus driver, as Charles Barkley said that you weren't. So if you want all these crowns and you want all these accolades and you want people to put respect on your name, you should be embracing that you're around these guys, because it's not like Kyrie Irving won't ever come back. It's not like Ben Simmons won't come back. Ben's been playing terrible, but you're going to get these guys back eventually. So right the ship while you can, and go out best with the guys you got out there, because when it's all said and done, the Nets roster has talent. Now, you got to have more than just talent on paper to win championships, but when you have talent and you have a guy at the caliber of Kevin Durant, all it takes is a little bit of leadership and a little bit of buy-in from those guys to make it to where you ultimately want to go. Because 2 seasons ago, you were 2 inches away from being in the Eastern Conference Finals and potentially going to the championship. So I don't want to hear all this talk about your team is bad and you wanted to quit on them because the roster is not right and everything's not looking good for you and the buck stops with you because you're the superstar. Quit all that. You're supposed to be a superstar. You're supposed to be a legend in the making, and you're supposed to be one of those top guys. Be that way. Be a leader on the court. Be a leader off the court. So Kevin Durant this week for me. You got to be kidding me.
It's broken. I had a couple different paths I wanted to go this week. And I wasn't really sure. Joseph Jeffers, yes, I'm a Man U fan. We'll have to get into CR7 stuff later. But I'm just gonna go with the fun one. I'm gonna go with somebody who I actually like, which is weird because he is an ex-Ohio State player. But I've always enjoyed watching him on College Game Day, which is Kirk Herbstreit. I'm gonna go this, and I'll just be blunt. Ohio State fans need to stop making excuses for what happened last year in Ann Arbor. Kirk went on the show and literally blamed the weather for the loss. That's not why you lost that football game. It's not why Ohio State lost last year. They lost because they got bullied and because they got beat. Michigan just played a better football game. Was it a decade in the making? Absolutely it was. We could talk about all that and the domination, fine. It's all true across the board. You didn't lose because it snowed for a quarter and a half of the football game last year. You lost because you were outplayed and you got bullied for 4 quarters. That's why they lost the football game. Then he doubled down on it again later on Twitter. And then a bunch of ex-players and so forth and so on started to get involved in the discussion. And then he did what he always does, which is what annoys me. He makes blatant, I don't want to say blatantly false statements, but he makes statements that, end up trending or getting him in hot water. And then he automatically issues the default apology all the time. If that's really what you believe, that's fine, Kirk. Just believe it. But deep down, that's not why you lost. And guess what? Newsflash, bro. If you go to Ohio and you're playing football in Ohio in October and definitely in November, guess what? You're going to play in some shitty weather, just like if you go to Michigan. And guess what the forecast is for next Saturday, Kirk? It's 46 with a chance of snow and raining throughout the whole game. It's not going to be good weather that day either. CJ Stroud knew when he went to Ohio State, he wasn't playing in 70-degree weather and sun every game. So if that's going to be your excuse already, and it sounds like you're already getting it out, come up with a different one. If Michigan goes into Columbus next weekend and wins the game, it's not because it was windy or because it was snowing. It's because they got beat by a better football team. You're supposed to be better than that. You're supposed to be unbiased. You lead the #1 college football show on ESPN. Be better. So for this week, Kirk Herbstreit. You got to be kidding me.
I'm going to say free Justin Fields one more time. Get him out of the Bears. Free Justin Fields. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
No, it's a long show, but I will say that I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed the show tonight from start to finish.
It's going to be a big download. It's going to be a big download.
I thought it
was very necessary.
Yeah, I thought this was a great show, though.
Agreed. Had a great time, gentlemen. I appreciate everybody hopping on. Appreciate y'all in the chat. By the way, gentlemen, thank you so much to all listeners out there. We have already surpassed October, and we are on pace for the best month ever we've ever had in unique downloads. We have 700 unique downloads already. Our record is 900. We're on pace to crush that. Please continue downloading. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and follow the best podcast. So, Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate y'all. Holla.